McLaughlin approaches the ball. He hits it a high spinner, won't carry too deep. Haygood takes it at the 5. Slips a little bit, starts good up the middle over the 10, the 15. He's hit knocked down to the 16-yard line. John Dubanetsky, the big sophomore defensive safety, 6'5", 218 pounds, met Haygood head on and knocks him down at the 16-yard line. And there the Pitt Panthers will go on offense, 1st and 10. Their quarterback is number 7, Bill Daniels. He's a senior from Coriopolis, Pennsylvania. Was a high school rival of Notre Dame's quarterback, Tom Clements. The running backs are 33, the great Tony Dorsett. And the up back of the I set is Bob Hutton. Here is a fake, and end around goes to Bruce Murphy, and he is quickly knocked down for a loss by Steve Niehaus. An excellent defensive play. Bruce Murphy, the wingback, came back on a counter play, and Steve Niehaus, the outstanding defensive end for Notre Dame, was there to knock him down at the 11-yard line. And so there is a loss of some 6 yards on the play. It's going to be 2nd down and 16 for Pitt.
Pittsburgh expected to run wide today with Dorsett, possibly with Walker, and also to throw a lot.
Rodney Clark is the wide receiver set to the right. The tight end can go long, too. That's Jim Corbett. Here's the give to Dorsett up the middle, dives across the 15-yard line, gets out to the 18. So he got back the lost yardage and a little more. Steve Niehaus was there to make the tackle. It was a gain back of 8 yards. It is now going to be 3rd down and a long 8 for Pittsburgh. The ball at the Pitt Panther 18-yard line.
Notre Dame showing a slightly different defensive alignment here at the start of the ball game. They're shifting one linebacker up onto the line of scrimmage.
Daniels on 3rd and 8 looks to throw, fires in the flat. Dorsett has the ball at the 15, looking to get away. He's knocked down at the 20, way short of the 1st down. Greg Collins, the All-America candidate outside linebacker, coming up to make the hit for Notre Dame. And also on the stop for the Fighting Irish on the play was John Dubanetsky. And so Notre Dame holds Pitt the first time the Panthers get the ball. It brings up a 4th and 7 at the 20-yard line, and Pittsburgh will punt. Dropping back deep for Notre Dame is Ron Goodman. A trio of safeties back deep anticipating the punt. Goodman is standing at the 50-yard line. The Pitt punter, Larry Swider, is back at his 5. Gets the snap. It's a high one. Hits the ball at the 10. A long spiral. Held up by the wind. Goodman signals for and makes the fair catch at the 46-yard line. And there Notre Dame will go on offense, 1st and 10. Notre Dame with the ball at its 46-yard line to go on offense for the first time in the game.
Perhaps the weakest part of the Pittsburgh team this year, and they've been a good team, a good young football team is the way they're described. Perhaps the weakest part has been their defense. They've given up more yardage than they've gained themselves. They've given up 2,942 yards in 9 games.
All right, Dave, Notre Dame is set to go. Out wide to the right is Robin Weber, back in the lineup. He's split out. He's normally the tight end. Wide to the left is Demmerley. In motion goes Al Samuel. Clements gives up the middle to Bullock, and Wayne Bullock crashes across midfield and hits down to the 48-yard line of Pittsburgh. A straight-ahead run, good for 5 yards for Notre Dame. The tackles by Al Romano, a defensive tackle, and Kelsey Daviston. Across the defensive front for Pittsburgh, Tom Perko, Al Romano, Don Parrish, and Cecil Johnson, their great middle guard, Gary Burley. Arnie Weatherington and Kelsey Daviston, the linebackers. Glenn Hodge, Dennis Moorhead, Larry Felton, and David Spates, the safeties. Here is a give, running around the right end as Al Samuel turns upfield, lunges ahead for a yard or two, lost his footing as he tried to cut upfield, and falling on him quickly is the outside linebacker, Arnie Weatherington. So that is going to bring up 3rd down for Notre Dame, 3rd and a long 3, as the ball is advanced down to the 48-yard line of Pittsburgh. Dave?
Pittsburgh in a 5-2 defense, their normal defense. Notre Dame likes to probe the first 1 or 2 times they have the ball, see what type of defenses are being played.
Steve Neese, Steve Sylvester, the tackles for Notre Dame, Al Wojcik and Jerry Donato, the guards. Here is a give. Running with the ball is Mark McCain. Hits down to the 45-yard line. He's met head on by 3 white jerseys. And he might not have gotten enough for the first down. Larry Felton, the monster back, he rose. Arnie Weatherington again came up to make the hit for Pittsburgh. And Notre Dame is just short of a first down. It is 4th down for the Irish. The ball is advanced down to the 45-yard line of Pittsburgh, but Notre Dame is inches short of the first down. Tom Clements is looking over to Aaron Parsegian, and Parsegian says, go for it. So the Notre Dame offense stays in here in the first quarter. 11 minutes and 28 seconds to play in the first quarter. No score on the board. Notre Dame driving right to left, breaks the huddle. Demmerley comes wide to the left. Now he goes in tight. Robin Weber's the tight end set to the right. A wing back to the right. It's Mark McCain. Clements with a long count looks over the defense, sets his team down. Pitt starts to jump offside. Here's a give to Bullock. He's got the first down ahead. Wayne Bullock right up the middle, hits down to the 42-yard line and gets a first down for Notre Dame. So the Irish gamble on fourth down, straight ahead power blocking, and the power running of Wayne Bullock, who scored 4 touchdowns against Pitt last year. And Notre Dame keeps the drive alive.
Pittsburgh just used a normal 5-2. They didn't bunch up at all in the line of scrimmage or with their linebackers in that situation, which called for a plunge by Bullock, a 4th and inches situation.
Now Notre Dame on 1st and 10. Samuel goes in motion left to right. Clements is faking now. He gives straight up the middle, and Wayne Bullock carries the ball, and Bullock gets inside the 40-yard line of Pittsburgh and down close to the 38-yard line. He gained 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7 for Notre Dame. The ball is just inside the 39-yard line of Pittsburgh. Notre Dame moving right to left in the first quarter.
This is what Notre Dame does best, perhaps, is run inside, and Pittsburgh last year against Notre Dame was vulnerable to an inside running attack.
Last year, Pittsburgh gained more yardage against Notre Dame, as you heard Ara Parsegian point out, than Alabama. Here's Clements rolling out, pitches back with the ball is McCain. And a short gain for Mark McCain. As Clements was hit, the pitch back went to Mark McCain, turned inside the left end, inside the 40. Kelsey Davidson and David Spates on the tackle for the Pitt Panthers. And that's going to bring up 3rd down for Notre Dame, 3rd down and 5 at the 37-yard line of Pittsburgh.
Mark McCain getting a shot today, getting a starting assignment because Art Best is out of action. McCain is described as a bread-and-butter runner, and he gives you all he's got.
Now wide to the right is Pete Demmerley for Notre Dame. Open field to the right. Notre Dame driving here in the first quarter. Clements drops back to throw, rolls out to the right, fires on the run. Demmerley's open down to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10. Fighting to get into the end zone. Demmerley is knocked out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Kelsey Davidson got downfield to knock him down. As Tom Clements rolls out, fires on the run. Pete Demmerley's wide open. It's a 34-yard gain for Notre Dame, and the Irish are now at point-blank range.
The cornerback who was covering on the play was Dennis Moorhead, and he missed the tackle just as Demmerley caught the ball, and then Demmerley had practically wide-open spaces in front of him.
Now Notre Dame challenging for the first score of the game with 9:35 to play in the first quarter. The Irish with open field to the left. Here is Clements with a long count. Gets the snap. He's rolling out to the left. He looks into the end zone. He fires. Touchdown, Notre Dame to Pete Demmerley. Tom Clements on the rollout. Drills it to Demmerley, who is again wide open. And the Irish go 54 yards and 8 plays, culminated by the touchdown throw.
Tom Clements is almost a contortionist in that kind of a maneuver. He likes to roll left and throw back right. That time he actually was rolling left and throwing left, which isn't quite as bad as throwing back to the right side. But he does all those things and does them well.
The Notre Dame student body on its feet now clapping, and we're set for the point after. David Reeve will try it. The freshman, Alaka will hold. Here's the snap, the set down. The kick is in the air. It's high and deep, and it's good. And Notre Dame is on the board first. With the score, the Fighting Irish 7 and Pitt nothing. Here's a word from Sign-Off and Royal Globe before the Notre Dame kickoff.
I want that sinus medicine.
Headache tablets?
No, sinus medicine. Helps the headache and the pressure.
Oh, you mean sign-off.
Exactly.
Exactly right. When sinus flares up with congestion and pain, insist on Sign-Off tablets. Sign-Off delivers a full dose of pure aspirin plus a sinus drainer. Sign-Off helps sinus pain while you drain. Use only as directed.
Signoff.
Sign-off.
Exactly.
Sign-Off, the sinus medicines in the bright red box.
Offense or defense, a winning team has them both. And the two things you should consider when buying insurance are protection and performance. Royal Globe Insurance has them both. Protection that's broad, whether it's for your home, your business, or your car. Performance from a professional countrywide staff of more than 7,000 employees plus 6,000 independent agents ready to help when trouble strikes by giving you fast, fair claim service. Sound like the kind of insurance you want? Well, check it out with your Royal Globe independent agent. He's listed in the yellow pages under Royal Globe Insurance, worldwide shield against the unexpected.
Now with Dave Martin, this is Don Crickey back at Notre Dame Stadium. 9:31 to play in the first quarter. The Irish lead 7-0 on a 3-yard touchdown pass from Tom Clements to a wide-open Pete Demmerley. The Irish driving 54 yards. Notre Dame will kick off. McLaughlin hits the ball, a high-spinning kickoff, not too deep again. Haygood at the 8-yard line, the 10. Straight ahead, 15-20. Hit at the 18, crosses the 20, gets out to the 23-yard line. And again, John Dubinetsky is down to make the play on special teams for Notre Dame as Pitt goes in offense for a second time.
See the TV replay of today's Notre Dame football game featuring the voice of Mutual's Monday Night Football, Lindsey Nelson, along with football great Paul Horning. Check the TV listing in your newspaper for time and channel in your area. Remember, follow the fortunes of Ara Parsegian's team on TV in your area by watching the replay of today's game. Check your newspaper for time and channel.
Pitt breaks the huddle, moving left to right. White jerseys, gold pants, gold helmets. Here's the fake to give to Daniels and Nosbush. Back in the lineup, takes a head-on shot on Bruce Murphy, the wingback, coming back on a counterplay. And there is a gain of inches, really. We'll call it second down and 10. As the ball is advanced to the 24-yard line, Kevin Nosbush, who's been out with a hamstring pull, is back in at left tackle for Notre Dame. Steve Behouse, Kevin Nosbush, Mike Fanning, and Jim Stock across the defensive front. Greg Collins, Tom Eastman, and Drew Mihalik back the line. Reggie Barnett and Randy Payne at the corners, John Dubinetsky and Randy Harrison the safeties. Here as they give up the middle, and again, the Notre Dame defense closes right down and fullback Bob Hutton. And the sophomore from Wyckoff, New Jersey, is knocked down after a gain of only about 2 yards. It'll be third down and 8. As the ball is just across the Pitt 25-yard line.
You're a Pitt fan and wondering where Dave Janasek is. Of course, he was injured a few weeks ago and hasn't been able quite to regain his starting position. He's a tremendous blocker, one of the best blockers in the nation in college football.
Now Jeff Weston's in the line. Third and 8 for Pittsburgh. Daniels fakes, drops straight back, fires in the near flat intended. And it is incomplete as Rod Clark dove for the ball at the 33-yard line and lost it off his fingertips, and so Pitt fails to convert on a third down play, and the Panthers again will punt as Larry Swider and the punting unit come out. Notre Dame getting big pressure as the quarterback dropped back to throw, Bill Daniels. And now the clock is stopped in the first quarter. 8 minutes and 20 seconds left to play. And Notre Dame leading in the first quarter 7-0. Ron Goodman is back deep for the Fighting Irish, standing at his 46-yard line. Swider hits the ball at the 15, a low punt. Goodman lets it roll. It takes a big pit hop inside the 30 and rolls all the way down to the 25-yard line. And there, Notre Dame will go on offense first and 10. So Larry Swider delivers a 49-yard punt for Pittsburgh. And the Irish go back on offense at their 25.
Pittsburgh a little fortunate on that punt. 2 weeks ago against Navy, Navy's John Stuppelby kept the Irish back deep in their own territory and in poor field position most of the day. The real reason that Navy played Notre Dame so close. By the way, Mutual will bring a big college doubleheader on Saturday, November 30th. The Army-Navy game from Philadelphia, followed by Notre Dame against Southern California.
Now Notre Dame breaks the huddle, leading 7-0 in the first quarter. Demmerley goes wide to the right. Wing back to the left is Al Samuel. He's in motion left to right. Here is the snap to Clements. Pitch back to the near side. Goes to Mark McClain across the 25. Spins out to the 29-yard line. Mark McClain, the sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware, running hard. Gets out to the 29-yard line. He gains some 4 yards. It'll be second down and 6 for Notre Dame. As again, outside linebacker Kelsey Davidson, a senior from Duquesne, Pennsylvania, made the stop for Pittsburgh. He's been on 5 tackles so far. Notre Dame breaks the huddle with open field to the right. The Irish moving right to left here in the first quarter. Double wing formation. Here comes McClain in motion. Left to right. Give to Bullock up the middle. And he powers his way off the right side and over the 30-yard line out close to the 32. He'll be well short of the first down by about 3 yards. Gary Burley, the big middle guard, called by some the best defensive lineman in America today, is in on the tackle. He was the head-on hitter. And that'll bring up a third down and 3 for Notre Dame at the Irish 32-yard line. Demmerley goes wide to the right. He's run 2 pass patterns, caught 2 balls, 1 for a touchdown. Clements pitches back to McClain, a power sweep to the near side, and Mark McClain does not get the first down. He turned upfield off the left side. Gary Burley, at 255 pounds, hit him head on. And Arnie Weatherington, the outside linebacker, a sophomore from Miami, Florida, was also on the stop for the Pitt Panthers, and so Notre Dame will have to punt for the first time in the game.
Panthers have made no defensive adjustments in their first 2 defensive series. They're using that 5-2. Notre Dame still probing, trying to hit outside and inside, see just how those defensive ends are playing.
Into punt is Tony Brantley, standing at his 20-yard line. Dennis Moorhead is back deep for Pitt. Here is the kick by Brantley, a long, low punt, fielded by Moorhead at his 27. Spins away from one tackler, hit it, dropped hard at the 32. So Brantley gets off a 40-yard punt. It is returned some 5 yards by Moorhead, and down to make the hit was freshman linebacker Doug Becker. And so Pittsburgh goes on offense for the third time of the game. Dave?
Ken McAfee, a freshman end, was down under that punt very fast. He was the first man under the punt, but then he missed the tackle. So now Pittsburgh has the ball on their own 32-yard line.
Pitt breaks the huddle, first and 10 at the Panther 32-yard line, way wide to the left. Is wide receiver Carl Farmer, a world-class sprinter. Here is a give to Tony Dorsett. Notre Dame shuts off the hole as he tries to run off the left side. Notre Dame closing down the blocking quickly and knocking Dorsett down for little or no gain. Tom Eastman, the sophomore middle linebacker, was on the stop, along with defensive end Jim Stock, the player of the week in defensive football 2 weeks ago after his performance against Navy.
Now, last year when Dorsett had such a great day against Notre Dame had the defense sealed off to the right side, and Dorsett gained most of his yardage to the weak side. Notre Dame has made a defensive adjustment today.
Notre Dame playing a big gap defense. Front four is way wide apart. Najwood starts to go early, gets back. Now Daniels fakes the throw for Pittsburgh. Here's a rush. He's got to hurry to get away, and Jim Stock gets him at the 30-yard line. On a 2nd and 9. Jim Stock makes the hit on Bill Daniels as he had to elude the pass rush, could not throw, and so there's a loss of a couple of yards on the play. It's going to be 3rd down and 11 for Pittsburgh. The Pitt Panthers with just about no offense in 3 possessions here in the first quarter against the number 1 defensive team in the country, Notre Dame.
Their offense has gained a total of 2,880 yards this year from that slot I formation. They have 4 total yards gained so far.
Here is Daniels on 3rd and 11, dropping back a big rush. He fires it out to Dorsett. He drops the ball. Drew Mahalik was wide with him. Dorsett might have heard footsteps at the 35-yard line as he had the ball in his hands on the run. And so again, Pittsburgh has stopped it 4th down and 11. And Larry Swider is again in the punt for Pittsburgh.
You're listening to Mutual, the world's #1 radio sports network, bringing you Notre Dame, NFL Monday night, the NFL playoffs, and the Sugar Bowl over most of these same stations.
Swider back for Pitt.
Larry Swider standing back at his 15-yard line. Goodman is back in the deep position in the 3-man receiving formation for Notre Dame. Swider hits the ball. It's a long, long spiral way downfield inside the 35-yard line. Ted Bergmeyer signals for and makes the fair catch at the 32. And now there's a timeout with the score. Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh nothing.
The winner and new heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
Right now, for a nominal charge in coach, you can see the fight upset of the century on every TWA movie flight to California. So if you already have a full fare ticket on some other airline, don't worry. TWA will honor it. To reserve your ringside seat, call TWA or your travel agent and ask for the flights with the fight. No other airline has it.
Timeout on the field. As we said, Air Force will be here next week, and then 2 weeks from today, the Irish wind up the regular campaign against the Southern California Trojans. John McKay's team, that game to be played in Los Angeles. McCain was quoted this week as saying the greatest experience he's had in coaching is coaching Notre Dame at South Bend. Don?
Right now we have a pause on the field. And there's an official timeout on the field. A moment of silence for, we hadn't picked up the name for just who it was, someone in the local community, I believe. So at any rate, they're back and ready to play football on the Mutual Broadcasting System. Mutual Broadcasting System President Ed Little and everyone at Mutual delighted you can be with us for Notre Dame football all season long. We have 4 minutes and 55 seconds to play in the first quarter here at South Bend. The score is Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh nothing. The Irish scored in a 54-yard drive the first time they got the ball. The last 3 yards covered on a Clements to Demmerley touchdown pass. Now Notre Dame is set to go on offense 1st and 10 at their 33-yard line. Wide to the left is freshman Ken McAfee, now in the game. Lone setback is Bullock, a double wing formation. Here comes Mark McCain in motion. He gets the pitch back, power sweep to the near side, turns the corner, loses his footing, and goes down at the 32-yard line. He lost a yard. And so it will be 2nd down and 11 for Notre Dame at the Irish 32-yard line. On the tackle for Pittsburgh, it really wasn't necessary. Gary Burley was the first man to hit Mark McCain, but he went down losing his footing, and right now there is a Pitt player down in the field. Dave?
We were talking about John McKay a moment ago. He was quoted as saying that he believes his greatest experience in coaching is coaching against Notre Dame here at South Bend. He says the feeling in that stadium on game day is just unbelievable. And, of course, for Johnny Majors today, the Pittsburgh coach, this is his first experience at bringing a football team into South Bend. They came in yesterday. They worked out right here in the stadium. 59,000 capacity crowd on hand to watch the Irish shoot for their 8th victory of the year. The loss at the hands of Purdue, 31-20.
Arnie Wetherington, an outside linebacker, is the man who is shaken up. He's on his feet and walking off. He's all right. He'll go out of the game for a respite. But Now Notre Dame will have second down and 11 coming up. The ball at the Notre Dame 32-yard line. The Fighting Irish will have open field to the right. They're moving right to left here in the first quarter. 4 minutes and 39 seconds to play in it. Notre Dame leading 7-0. The Irish going 54 yards. Notre Dame has only 24 yards on 10 rushes so far. The big yardage in that first touchdown drive came on the throws of Tom Clements to Pete Demmerley. 1 for 34 yards, then the scoring throw from 3 yards out. Goodman is a slot back to the right. Samuel's in motion. Here's the fake. Clements rolls out to the right. He stops. He looks. He fires on the run. And the ball is a little too long and incomplete at the 42-yard line of Notre Dame. The intended receiver was Al Samuel, swinging out of the backfield. As a couple of men lost their footing downfield trying to make cuts for Notre Dame. As they mentioned at the outset, there was a lot of snow here earlier in the week. The field has been covered. It is a little damp in spots. The temperature now in the low 40s. Now a new man into the game for Notre Dame. Kevin Doherty goes out wide to the right as a wing. Ron Goodman's in as a running back. Here is Clements stopping, looking to throw. Throws a screen pass out to Goodman. He's going to have trouble. He's knocked down back to the 25-yard line. Clements, bootleg fake, fired the screen out to the right flat. Goodman got the ball, was quickly knocked down by defensive tackle Don Parrish of Pittsburgh. That'll bring up 4th and 18 for Notre Dame.
Pittsburgh secondary has been edging up a little bit, and when they do that, Notre Dame is likely to go to the run-action pass by Tom Clements, who 2 weeks ago against Navy did not have a good day, 5 out of 22.
Tony Brantley is in the game, the punt for the Irish now for a second time. Standing at his 12-yard line, Dennis Moorhead is deep for Pitt. A big rush! Pitt blocks the punt. Pitt picks up the ball and downs at the Notre Dame 13-yard line. An all-out rush by Pittsburgh results in a blocked punt. Chuck Bonasorti was the man who fell on the ball. As Pittsburgh had 4 men in on Tony Brantley. Now with a score, Pitt 7, Notre Dame 7, and Pitt nothing. The Fighting Irish defensive unit comes out with 3 minutes and 32 seconds left to play in the first quarter. So Pitt delivers the big defensive play. And now trailing Notre Dame 7-0 in the first quarter, the Pitt Panthers will challenge. They'll go 1st and 10 from the Notre Dame 12-yard line. Carl Farmer is wide to the left. Daniels takes the snap. He fakes. He gives to Dorsett up the middle. He's inside the 10 and down to the 8. Tony Dorsett running straight ahead with that great speed coming out of the I formation. Was knocked down by Kevin Osbush at the 8-yard line. And now it'll be second down and 6 for Pittsburgh. A 4-yard gain.
They like to use Dorsett on sprint delays and sprint off tackles, off-tackle slants, and that's what they did that time. An off-tackle slant, he's capable of having tremendous days.
Kevin Osbush knocked him down the last play. Here is the snap, the give, the fake, and the pitch back. Running the wide side is Bruce Murphy. He's inside the 5-yard line and knocked out of bounds at the 3. Bruce Murphy, the wingback, came on a weak side pattern. And on the move across the field, took the pitch back. Randy Harrison and Randy Payne, 2 defensive backs, knocked him out of bounds.
Randy Harrison did a great job of reading that play. That's the type of deceptive play that you'll see many times spring a runner loose into the end zone from that distance. But Randy Harrison, who has returned intercepted passes for touchdowns in each of the last 2 games, came up quickly to make the stop.
Now Carl Farmer goes wide to the left. It is 3rd and 1 for a first down, 3rd and 3 for a touchdown. Give to Dorsett. He dives down close to the Halleck. Drills him hard and knocks him back. A gain of enough for a first down. Pitt got the yard they needed for the first down. And the ball is spotted at the 1-yard line of Notre Dame. As Dorsett flew through the air and the Halleck came up to hit him. That is the first down of this game for the Pitt Panthers. But they have the ball at the 1-yard line of Notre Dame. Following the blocked punt. A big rush by Pitt. Now the Panthers are challenging 1st and goal from the 1. Daniels, the snap, the handoff to Dorsett didn't get in. He is hit hard. Now he throws the ball away. Back to his quarterback. Goes down to the 12, but I believe they blew the play dead down to 2. Dorsett was hit and hit so hard. Drew Mahalik came over the top and drilled him, knocked him, popped him right back. Mike Fanning was also on the stop. And then Dorsett threw the ball back, didn't hear the whistle, tried to get it to his quarterback again, but the play was blown dead at the 1. 2nd and goal from there.
Dave, great a back as Dorsett is, he's only 5'11" and 175. He's trying to do that hard power running, and he's a little small to do it.
The The Notre Dame defensive linemen are coming in low. The linebackers are coming in high. Give to Dorsett. Didn't get there again as Notre Dame hits it. There's a fumble and Notre Dame recovers. Dorsett carries the ball, is hit hard and fumbles the ball at the 1-yard line. Randy Payne and Kevin Nosbush hit on the play. It looks like Randy Payne was the man who recovered. Now the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh nothing. There's a timeout in the field, and it's for red ball.
Don Cricky here for American Red Ball Worldwide Movers. You know, every member of a football team has to understand every play completely. American Red Ball thinks that applies to moving, too. That's why American Red Ball had a family expert write a booklet called Straight Answers to Your Moving Questions. You can get it and a whole series of booklets just by calling your local American Red Ball agent. He's listed in the yellow pages. He'll be glad to show you how, by working together, we can do something about the moving business.
Notre Dame Stadium after the Irish stopped Pittsburgh, who had a first and goal at their 1-yard line, recovering a fumble. Clements takes the ball and runs it out from his own run to the 6. Tommy Clements gaining almost 6 yards, second and a long 4 for Notre Dame at the Notre Dame 6-yard line. Clements takes the snap, goes again with a quarterback keep and slants off the right side, is knocked down. There's a penalty marker down, and we pause briefly for station identification. This is Mutual, your news and sports radio network. Procedure penalty against Notre Dame. That'll penalize them half the distance to the goal as it occurred at the 6-yard line. And the ball is now set back to the 3. And it's going to be second down and 8 from there for Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish lead in the first quarter 7-0. We have 1 minute and 15 seconds to play in the first quarter. Notre Dame breaking the huddle after stopping a Pittsburgh drive at the 1-yard line, recovering a fumble. Here is Clements in his own backfield, in his own end zone, looks to throw, running now. Gets out to the 5, spins away, still on his feet, gets out close to a first down, not quite there. A truly spectacular run by Tom Clements. Took the snap, rolled out in his own end zone. Started downfield, was hit at the 2, spun away, down the far sideline, hit again, and danced away and dove out to the 9-yard line. It's going to be 3rd and a yard for Notre Dame.
First chance today, this big crowd has had to see Clements run. He doesn't exactly scramble. He never rolls out. I guess one word you might describe his running is spinning, and he did a lot on that play, and also roaming.
Now it'll be 3rd and a yard for Notre Dame. The ball almost to the Irish 10-yard line. Here is the snap from Brenneman. The give to Bullock, dives over the middle. He has the first down and more. Wayne Bullock on a straight power thrust behind his center, Mark Brenneman. He moves the ball out close to the 14-yard line. And it's going to be 1st and 10 there for Notre Dame. So the Notre Dame defense delivers the big play, recovering the Pitt fumble at the 1-yard line of the Fighting Irish. And now Notre Dame gets the ball out for a first down to their 14-yard line. We have 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. That'll be the last play of the first quarter. There is the gun. That is the end of the first quarter with the score. Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh nothing now.
Back at Notre Dame Stadium, it's 7-0 in favor of Notre Dame. Going into the second period, Notre Dame had 3 first downs in the first period, and Pittsburgh won. The Irish gained 40 yards rushing to the Panthers 13 and 31 yards passing to the Panthers 2 yards passing. The total yards 71-15 as Pitt's offense has been virtually shut off by the top college defense in the nation. Notre Dame ranking tops in the nation, number 1 in total defense. Clements has completed 3 of 4 passes, and Daniels of Pittsburgh 1 out of 3. Each team has lost 1 fumble, and of course Pittsburgh had a big blocked kick.
The Notre Dame hitting has been vicious. Now when Pitt got the ball, 1st and goal, the Notre Dame won. The linebackers were coming in like bazookas, and they finally forced the fumble. Here is Clements giving off. Bullock carries out across the 15, across the 20. Wayne Bullock is finally ridden down by Kelsey Daviston on a straight-ahead charge, resulting in a 7-yard gain. It'll be second down and 3 for Notre Dame. Wayne Bullock, who was the nemesis of Pittsburgh last year, he rushed for 167 yards. He scored 4 touchdowns, and today in 6 carries, he has 26 yards for Notre Dame. So now the Irish have the ball just across their 20-yard line. It'll be second down, a long 3 for Notre Dame. Clements with a long count, gets the snap. Again, he goes to Bullock. Again, the carry is straight ahead for very little yardage, as middle guard Gary Burley of the Pitt Panthers shut down the blocking. The ball is out to the 21-yard line, a gain of only a half yard. So it'll be third down. Call it 3 for Notre Dame at their 21.
The key to this Pittsburgh defense is that middle guard, Gary Burley, who's deceivingly quick, and the two linebackers who make a lot of tackles, and one of them is hurt right now, Weatherington. The other one is Daviston. They're 202 and 210 in weight.
Pittsburgh with a 7-2 record. Notre Dame is 7-1. Here is Clements, gets the snap. He fakes. He gives off to Bullock, a big hole, and Bullock is out across the 25 and close to the 29-yard line for a Notre Dame first down. Mike Bellino in the game made the stop for Pittsburgh along with another safety, Dennis Moorhead, a junior from Indiana, Pennsylvania. A big gain for Wayne Bullock again, an 8-yard pickup. The ball is out to the 29-yard line. It is 1st and 10 for Notre Dame at the Irish 29.
Weatherington now, that key linebacker, is back in the ball game for Pittsburgh.
Arnie Weatherington, who was shaken up earlier, is back in. Pitt digs in with a 5-man front. 2 backers, 4 deep backs. Clements gets the snap. He fakes. He gives again to Bullock. He got a good horse, ride him, and Wayne Bullock hits out to the 35-yard line. Wayne Bullock gains 5 yards for Notre Dame. And it'll be 2nd down and 5 now, as other scores are starting to come in from around the country.
First quarter, Boston College leads Syracuse 10-0. Miami of Ohio over Cincinnati 7-0 at the half. Maryland over Duke 14-0 after 1. At halftime, it's 4 out of 7. Kentucky 6. And Michigan leads Purdue 3-0 after 1 quarter.
And Indiana's up on Michigan State 7-0 in the first quarter. Clements on the give. 2nd and 5. Straight ahead carry. Another first down for Notre Dame. This time, Mark Mccain, the big sophomore running back, powering straight ahead, getting great blocking from the Notre Dame interior line. Steve Neese, Al Wojciak, Mark Brenneman, Jerry DiNardo, and Steve Sylvester. The ball is advanced all the way out to the Notre Dame 43-yard line. So it's a first down for Notre Dame. 1st and 10, second quarter, 12:44 to play in the half. Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh nothing. Clements gets the snap. He fakes. He gives to Bullock. Another big hole, and Bullock dives out to midfield. Wayne Bullock is ahead in the first down carry for a gain of almost 8 yards. It'll be 2nd down and a long 2. Al Romano, number 91, a sophomore defensive tackle from Solvay, New York, was on the stop for Pittsburgh.
And a real battle going on between Notre Dame's offensive center, Mark Brenneman, who's trying to handle Gary Burley, 255-pound big middle linebacker there, nose to nose against each other in every play.
Here is a fake and a give and a short gain on the play as Notre Dame goes off the left side. Al Samuel, the 185-pound running back out of Newport News, Virginia, who comes into the game with a big yardage per carry average, one of the best on the Notre Dame team, advances the ball to the 48-yard line of Pittsburgh. It is short of a first down, and that'll bring up 3rd down and less than 1. It was Gary Burley who was on the stop for Pittsburgh on the play. 3rd and less than a yard for Notre Dame. Irish moving left to right. Ken McAfee is set to the right. Clements with a long count. Here comes Samuel in motion. Clements keeps it himself, dives ahead inside the 45-yard line. Tom Clements gains 4 yards, has a first down for Notre Dame. It was defensive end Tom Perko, number 85 for Pitt, who brought him down, as Clements, with those dancing moves, weaves in and out and gets ahead for the first down carry.
And so far, this game has gone pretty much according to form. Pittsburgh's defense, perhaps the weakest department, and so far they just haven't been able to stop Notre Dame on the ground.
It is 1st and 10 for Notre Dame, 44-yard line of Pittsburgh. The give goes to McClain. He dives straight ahead as it's boxed up, gets ahead for a couple of yards. Al Romano is the man who rode him down as the Pitt middle guard, again, Gary Burley, closed down the hole with his great power. He's 6'3", 255 pounds, a senior from Urban Crest, Ohio. Gary Burley. Notre Dame dressed in blue and gold. An overcast day here in South Bend. Temperatures in the low 40s. Notre Dame and Pittsburgh meeting for a 41st time. This is Don Cricky with Dave Martin as Notre Dame leads 7-0 second quarter. A give to Bullock. Look at that hit straight on by Kelsey Daviston, the linebacker. He knocked big 230-pound Wayne Bullock straight back after a gain of less than a yard. And now we're going to have 3rd down coming up for Notre Dame at the 41-yard line of Pittsburgh. It'll be about 8 yards to go for the first down.
Time remaining now in the second period is 10:25. It's 7-0 in favor of the Irish.
Notre Dame with Pete Demmerley coming wide to the right. Let's watch Clements and Demmerley now. 3rd and 8 for Notre Dame at the Pittsburgh 41. Clements fakes, looks, he's throwing to Demmerley in the flat. Demmerley has it for a first down at the Pittsburgh 30-yard line. His brilliant pass-catch combination. Throw and catch. Clements to Demmerley. That was an 7-yard gain and a third and 8. It's a first down for Notre Dame at the 30-yard line of Pittsburgh. Finally making the tackle on a diving feet. Demmerley was cornerback Glenn Hodge.
Glenn Hodge up there covering on the play. The Irish will be against the Air Force Academy. The Falcons from the Air Force will be here at Notre Dame next week. You'll hear it on Mutual.
Notre Dame with open field to the left. In motion goes Mark McCain. Here is a fake. A give goes to Wayne Bullock. He dives inside the 30. He fights down to the 27-yard line. Wayne Bullock hit at the line of scrimmage, the 30. Fought his way ahead for 3 yards. As Kelsey Davidston again came up to make the stop from the outside linebacker position. Now we have some alternates coming in. Randy Holloway, a freshman from Sharon, Pennsylvania, comes into the defensive line of the Pitt Panthers. 9.5 minutes to play in the first half here at Notre Dame. The Irish drove 54 yards the first time they had the ball, and they lead the game 7-0. They scored in the Clements to Demmerley pass. The snap, the give, it goes to Al Samuel around the right end. He tries to get inside, and again the Pittsburgh defense closes down the run. Good play by Tom Perko. Also coming up to make the stop was Glenn Hodge. And so the ball is advanced down to the 26-yard line of the Pitt Panthers. And it's now going to be 3rd down and 6 for Notre Dame, and again we have to look, Dave, for Clements to throw.
Right, a passing situation. Notre Dame, however, has been able to control the ball, keep possession of the ball. They've established their ground game. Against Navy, it took them till the 4th quarter to do that because of poor field position. But today, they've established the ground game right at the outset.
You'll recall now that this drive started, the Notre Dame won after the fumble recovery late in the first quarter. This is the 16th play of the drive. Clements throws the run. The ball is caught for a first down on the far side of the field by Al Samuel. He's knocked out of bounds to the 15-yard line. David Spades came across to hit him as again Clements delivers a perfect throw. Brilliant passing by Tom Clements as again, as he historically has, the bigger the game, the better he plays.
So the passing situation, you knew it was coming, and still Clements completed the pass to the sideline on the far side, and now the Irish in great striking position once again at the 15.
Tom Clements brings Notre Dame out of the huddle. 1st and 10 at the Pittsburgh 15-yard line. Second quarter, Notre Dame leads 7-0. Pitch back to Samuel, running hard inside the 15 and down to the 10-yard line before he is knocked back. Coming up to make the play was Gary Burley, number 77, and Don Parrish, number 68. The big defensive lineman coming across, but on the power pitch with Samuel cutting up the middle. Samuel advances the ball down to the 10-yard line. A gain of 5 yards on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for Notre Dame. The Irish now challenging here in the second quarter. 7:45 to play in it. Notre Dame with open field to the left. Here's Mark McCain in motion. The fake to give to Bullock. Fighting ahead, and Wayne Bullock is hit. He fumbles the ball, and Pittsburgh recovers. Wayne Bullock lost the football. Gary Burley hit him head on. Kelsey Davidston recovered. The Notre Dame drive is stopped. Now there's a timeout. With the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh 0.
There's a fabulous sale at your local Lafayette store just about every week of the year. And this week's sale is on our own Lafayette compact stereo system, like the Lafayette LSC 1000, which comes with AM/FM radio, 8-track stereo cartridge player, DSR 4-speed turntables, and 3-way acoustic suspension speakers. The regular price, $299.95. The sale price, just $269.95, a saving of $30. But hurry, because this sale is for a limited time only. So come on in to Lafayette Radio Electronics, the store that plugs you into everything electronic, from audio gear to weather instruments and much, much more.
It forces a Notre Dame fumble, and the Notre Damers are stopped. And their challenge that started at their 1-yard line and advanced all the way down to the Pittsburgh 8. The fullback of Notre Dame, Wayne Bullock, was hit very, very hard. And he was helped off the field, but he appears to be all right. Wayne Bullock fumbling on a straight-ahead carry, and now Pittsburgh breaks the huddle. They've been able to advance absolutely nowhere against this Notre Dame defense. On the roll, they throw on first down. Here's a reception by Carl Farmer. And he is out across the 20, out across the 25. And Carl Farmer, who has run the 500-yard run in 59 seconds flat. a world-class sprinter, and he really flew out of the far flank to catch the ball. Brought down on the play by Reggie Barnett, who was covering him on the left corner.
Farmer's a junior college transfer from California. He's also run the 440 and 45.8, which is the 5th fastest in the world.
Now Farmer comes out wide to the left. Here is Daniels looking, giving straight ahead. Tony Dorsett running hard up the middle, and Notre Dame trips him up. Nosbush came in low, got him ankle high, and Dorsett, at 175 pounds, went down hard like he tripped over something. But she did. Now 2nd down and 8 for Pittsburgh. The ball at the Pitt Panther 30-yard line. Dorsett, who ran for 209 yards against Notre Dame last year, an all-time record against the Irish, has now carried 7 times for 18 yards. Pitt hasn't been able to get a thing on offense. Here is Daniels on the rollout. Now he looks to throw. Notre Dame's going to get him. He is hit and knocked down hard. Mihalik, a vicious tackler at the outside linebacker, the big senior from Troy, Michigan. Drew Mihalik with the hard hit at the 32-yard line, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and a long 5 for Pittsburgh.
Daniels is a fine option quarterback, and in 1973 he led the Pitt offense to a new all-time school total offense record with 3,805 yards.
Now it is 3rd and 5 for Pittsburgh. Here is a give to Dorsett. He dives straight ahead. He does not get the 1st down yardage. Dorsett coming across left to right on a slant over the middle is knocked down just short of the 35-yard line of Pittsburgh. On the tackle for Notre Dame, co-captain Greg Collins and middle linebacker Tom Eastman. 2 of the backers make the hit. And that brings up 4th down for Pittsburgh as again they are stopped short, and they'll have to go to the punt. Into punt now for Pittsburgh. Once again is number 41, Larry Swider. 2 men go back for Notre Dame. Here is a long, high spiral, beautifully hit. The ball is fielded by Goodman at his 21. He gets 1 block, looks for help, and doesn't get much as he's swept under. Back at the 22-yard line. And now at the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh nothing. There's a timeout on the field, and this for Lazy Boy.
This is Coach Don Shula. Everyone likes to be a winner, and here's a tip that will make you one. If you want your leisure moments to be thoroughly enjoyed, relax in a Lazy Boy reclining chair. I have a Lazy Boy chair in my office and home. I know that Lazy Boy chairs have built-in He-Man comfort and a rugged reclining mechanism that will give you satisfaction day after day. But remember, there's only one Lazy Boy. Visit your authorized Lazy Boy dealer and tell him Don Shula wants to put you into the Lazy Boy action.
Back to the action now. Notre Dame's Tom Clements rolls out to the right side, crosses the line of scrimmage and gets out to the 31-yard line. Tom Clements with a 9-yard gain. On another quarterback run, a beautiful dancing run by Clements. He was knocked out of bounds by Glenn Hodge and Arnie Weatherington. But Clements, who has played spectacular football here in the first half for Notre Dame, leading the Irish to the only touchdown of the game, and they now lead 7-0 with 5:54 to play in the first half. Don Crickey with Dave Martin at Notre Dame Stadium. And here is a whistle, and a timeout is called by Pittsburgh. With the timeout, the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh nothing.
The time to go now in the second period of the football game is 5 minutes and 54 seconds. Irish defensive end Jim Stock was selected as the Associated Press's National Defensive Player of the Week for his outstanding play in the Navy game. Coach Ira Pasegan pointed out that Stock could have received that honor after the Miami game for his 12 tackles and a recovered fumble. In 2 seasons, Stock has pounced on 7 fumbles of the opposition, a new Notre Dame record. A fine football player, Jim Stock. Here at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana, the score is 7-0 in favor of the Irish, with 5 minutes 54 seconds to go here in period number 2 of the football game. It's a cloudy, gray, overcast day, but it's a dry day, and it's not really ideal football weather. You couldn't really ask for a more typical football day. The wind is blowing out of the south, which is to our right, and the goal that Pittsburgh is defending right now at approximately 15 miles per hour. The temperature in the low 40s. It's been Notre Dame all the way so far. They've controlled the game. However, 3 Notre Dame mistakes, a fumble loss, a pass intercepted, and a block kick has kept the score down. And Notre Dame leads by only 1 touchdown, 7-0, but they've controlled the ball a vast majority of the playing time. They've been able to get their ground game going right from the start of the game.
Pittsburgh has only 22 yards rushing and 14 carries in this game. Here is Clements dropping back to throw on 2nd and 3. Pump fakes, drills it. The ball is downfield. It might be intercepted. It is at the 43-yard line of Notre Dame. Clements tried to fire into double coverage to running back Ron Goodman, who was swinging out of the backfield. And linebacker Kelsey Davidson came up in front of them as they both fought for the ball. And when they hit the turf, Pittsburgh had the ball at the Notre Dame 44-yard line. And so there the Pitt Panthers take over 1st and 10 as they have a second turnover to their credit against Notre Dame. A fumble recover early as Notre Dame appeared to be challenging for a touchdown at the Pitt 8. And now the interception by linebacker Kelsey Davidson. Pittsburgh moving right to left with 1st and 10. Daniels pitches back. Dorsett's going to throw the option pass. Puts the ball up for grabs. Going for it is Daniels, the quarterback, who swung out. It's incomplete at the 25. Steve Niehaus. Now this gives you an idea. You hear about Niehaus and what a great prospect he is, a great player. 6'5", 265, 270 pounds. He saw Daniels swinging out. You recall Alabama scored in this play against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. And Johnny Majors put it in today. Niehaus saw Daniels swinging out the quarterback after he handed out to Dorsett. Dorsett put a long pass in the air down to the 23-yard line. Niehaus was right with the quarterback covering him on a fly pattern. The ball came down and he put a whack on the quarterback Daniels, who is down and out on the field for Pittsburgh. Now at the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pitt nothing. There's a timeout, and this for Royal Globe.
A businessman faces the unexpected every day. Employee injuries, damage to plant, or a halt in production can mean big losses and financial squeeze. That's where Royal Globe Insurance can help. They and their professional agents can plan a comprehensive insurance program to get a business going again if trouble strikes. And keep insurance protection up to date as a business grows. For your personal and business insurance needs, phone or see your independent insurance agent and ask him about Royal Globe. He's listed in the yellow pages. Royal Globe Insurance, worldwide shield against the unexpected.
Now back to live action, back to the action at Notre Dame Stadium, and being helped off the field is Pittsburgh quarterback Bill Daniels, badly shaken up as he tried to run a pass pattern and a trick play. And Bob Medwid, a senior from the Keys Rocks, Pennsylvania, the hometown of Tom Clements, comes into quarterback Pitt as Daniels, the Pitt starting quarterback, is helped off the field by two men after being hit by Steve Niehaus of Notre Dame.
Don, I can remember years ago, this goes back quite a while, when a quarterback in a T formation was an ineligible pass receiver. That pass in 1954, say 20 years ago, would have been an illegal play had the quarterback caught the ball.
Now it's going to be 2nd down and 10 for Pitt. Medwid hands off. Dorsett has some room to run. Dances outside, tries to turn the corner, gets inside the 40-yard line. And Tony Dorsett is ridden down by safety Randy Harrison of Notre Dame, a freshman from Hammond, Indiana. Well done by Randy Harrison as Dorsett looked like he was going to get a lot of room to go on the outside with that great quick speed to the out. And he is knocked down at the 40. That's where the ball is spotted. And so the ultimate gain on the play is 4 yards. And it's going to be 3rd down and 6 for Pittsburgh at the Notre Dame 40. Pitt breaks the huddle with open field to the left. Pitt moving right to left in the second quarter, trailing 7-0. A pitch back to Dorsett, short side of the field. He's run out of bounds just inside the 40. Got almost nothing. It was Niehaus with just remarkable speed for a man his size, 270 pounds, as he knocked Dorsett out of bounds coming across on the dead run.
Dorsett coming off an injury, and also that Notre Dame defense is much more keyed for Dorsett this year than they were last year when he had that big day against the Irish. Last year, Notre Dame sealed off the strong side.
Now, in to try a long, long field goal for Pittsburgh is Carson Long. The ball is going to be held at the 47. This will be a 57-yard attempt. It doesn't even get to the end zone. It's going to hit. It drops dead, however, and takes a dead hop. It'll be down there, and Notre Dame will go on offense. So it worked better probably than a punt, as Carson Long was able to kick the ball dead on a field goal attempt inside the Notre Dame 5, and the Irish go back on offense.
In his career, Carson has kicked them as long as 50 yards. Land travel arrangements for Mutual Radio Sports made through Econo Car Rental System, a service of Westinghouse. Now the Irish going on offense, but from deep in their own territory. They had to start from their 1-yard line in the first quarter after they had stopped a Pittsburgh scoring thrust. They traveled from their own 1 to the Pittsburgh 12 before they lost the ball in a fumble. Now they've got to start from their 4-yard line, but the Irish lead 7-0.
Notre Dame's second touchdown challenge was turned back on a fumble recovery, just as Notre Dame turned back Pitt at the Notre Dame 1 on a fumble recovery. Now here is a keep by Clements, trying to get some room to operate from his 4. He gets out across the 6-yard line. He got about 2 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8 as Tom Perko and Arnie Weatherington were on the tackle for the Pitt Panthers. Notre Dame and Pittsburgh meeting for a 41st time. Notre Dame leading the series with 28 wins, 11 losses, and 1 tie. And now, 2nd and 8 for Notre Dame with open field to the left. The give is up the middle. Tom Parise runs up the middle, gets out to the 10. He's in the game for Wayne Bullock, who was shaken up earlier when he fumbled the ball after being hit hard by 2 linebackers for Pitt. Gary Burley's on the stop here now. The ball advanced to the 10. That's going to bring up a 3rd down and 4 for Notre Dame. 3rd and a long 4 for the Irish at their 10-yard line. We are now late in the second quarter. 3 minutes and 55 seconds to play in it, as Notre Dame continues to lead Pittsburgh 7-0. Notre Dame scoring the first time they got the ball, and a 3-yard pass, Clements to Demmerley. They try it again, and Clements catches the ball, but it's ruled he's out of bounds. Clements caught the ball out at the 18-yard line. He protests he had both feet in bounds. He caught the ball out of bounds, but he stretched to have his feet in bounds. It's incomplete, however, and it'll bring up 4th down, and Notre Dame will punt.
Now, if Daniels cannot get back into the ballgame for Pittsburgh at quarterback, the replacement is Bob Medwit, 6'2", 190 senior from McKees Rock, Pennsylvania, who has had some good days for Pitt. By the way, that pass thrown by Dorsett, on which the injury occurred, was his first pass attempt this year. Brantley in the end zone to punt. Hits it at his 1-yard line. A low, short kick. It'll come back at Notre Dame. The ball is fielded beautifully and taken down inside the 30 and now inside the 25 by the up-back Larry Felton, who was in to block. A line drive punt by Tony Brantley is fielded by Felton. A 24-yard punt was all it was. And Felton catches it on the dead run and brings it back to the Notre Dame 23, and Pitts has a first down there. Felton had his momentum going. He was running forward when he caught that ball and was running forward and had good momentum going.
So now it is 1st and 10 for Pitt. Bob Medwit in the game after Daniels was injured runs headlong into Jim Stock on a quarterback option, and Stock grabs him and throws him down at the 23-yard line. There was no gain. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Mutual salutes the men and women who made this country great. Weekdays at 12:30 New York time. Hear the great Americans over many of these Mutual network stations, where you'll also hear Notre Dame and the Air Force Academy 1 week from today here at South Bend, and 2 weeks from today, the Irish against Southern Cal.
Now it is 2nd down and 10 for Pittsburgh at the Notre Dame 23-yard line. Nedwood takes the handoff, dropping back to throw, fires over the middle, is complete at the 15-yard line to Bruce Murphy, the flanker back. And Murphy is run out of bounds at the 10-yard line by Randy Harrison. It's a first down for Pittsburgh. So Nedwood, the backup quarterback, comes in and throws beautifully to a moving target. Bruce Murphy, a 13-yard gain and a first down to the Notre Dame 10-yard line. And the clock is stopped with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left to play. In the first half, Carl Farmer is now in the game, the Olympic class winner. He is out wide to the right. Pittsburgh moving right to left, and now the Notre Dame student body cascading a lot of noise down at the Pitt team and onto the field, and the Pitt quarterback, Bob Medwit, says, I can't call signals. He gets an official timeout, and Pitt goes back into a huddle. Dave?
Medwit's figures for this year, and he's played very little, show 2 passes completed in 8 attempts, just a 25% completion record. He's had 2 passes intercepted. Longest gain, 19 yards, no touchdown passes. He's a senior. Getting a shot now in place of Bill Daniels out with an injury.
Pittsburgh breaks the huddle, challenging at the Notre Dame 10-yard line. First and goal from just inside the 10. Nedwood throws on the run. Carl Farmer is there, and Barnett breaks the play up at the 2. Carl Farmer on the right flank ran it down and out. He was at the 2-yard line, and Reggie Barnett sailed in front of him, put the shot on Farmer, and the ball flew high into the air and out of bounds. And so it's an incomplete pass. And they bring the ball back to the 10-yard line, the line of scrimmage.
Reggie Barnett is one of the veterans in that Notre Dame secondary, a secondary that ranks 4th in the nation in pass defense. 2:21 now to go, first half of the ball game, 7-0 Notre Dame.
Pittsburgh going to the throw now as the Pitt Panthers have only 27 yards and 17 running plays. It is 2nd and goal from the Notre Dame 10 for Pittsburgh. Irish lead 7-0. Here is a give to Tony Dorsett, weaves down inside the 5. Tony Dorsett hitting off the left side of his offensive line and powering straight ahead. He got inside the 5-yard line. He got down to the 3. And now it's going to be 3rd and goal for Pittsburgh at the Notre Dame 3-yard line. As the Irish go into their goal line defense. On the tackle on the last play was middle linebacker Tom Eastman. Jay Achterhoff comes in the game. Freshman Jeff Weston comes in. It is 3rd and goal for Pittsburgh at the Notre Dame 3. Roll out by Medwood. He's running with the ball, trying to get it himself. He dives down to the one, and the Halleck knocks him down. Another fumble, and Notre Dame might have the ball. Notre Dame players are signaling a fumble recovery. They do not have it, apparently, as they unpile, but Pittsburgh did not get in. The ball was taken down close to the goal line, but again, Drew Mihalik with a hard hit. He teamed up with Greg Collins and Steve Niehaus. The ball's at the 1. It's going to be 4th and goal from the Notre Dame 1-yard line.
Redwood thought he saw that opening to get into the end zone, and he almost did make it, but he put his head down and he tried to pull into the end zone and was stopped just short by Niehaus and Collins. So now the Panthers on the verge here of tying up this game.
They're going to call a timeout with 1:37 to go in the first half, Dave.
That's right, timeout, but and the score showing 7-0 in favor of the Irish. This broadcast is being heard coast to coast on Mutual and around the world in more than 700 stations of the American Forces Network. And Anya and I will be here again next week against the Air Force Academy, a team that's 2-7 this year under Coach Ben Martin. But those service teams managed to rise to the occasion against Notre Dame more often than not. And then the Irish take on Southern Cal in Los Angeles 2 weeks from today. And that day will mark a big college football doubleheader here on Mutual. The Army-Navy game, and then Notre Dame against Southern Cal to climax the regular season. As you know, the Irish are all set for the Orange Bowl against Alabama. That'll be on New Year's night. And today, Pittsburgh, with a solid performance, if not a winning performance, could well get a bid to the Liberty Bowl. Of the teams being considered for the Liberty Bowl, Pittsburgh has the best record.
Now, here's how it stands at Notre Dame Stadium. 1 minute and 37 seconds left to play in the first half. Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh nothing. Pittsburgh with 4th and goal from the Notre Dame 1. Goes into a tight formation now. One wide receiver comes out. Medwood rolls out. He's going to carry himself. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Bob Medwood, the quarterback, rolled out right to left. Takes the throw and dove into the end zone. So Pittsburgh, after the interception, goes 23 yards in 6 plays. And the backup quarterback, Bob Medwood, who came in when the starter Bill Daniels was injured, takes it in for the touchdown, and Pitt can tie the game with the extra point.
So many times that happens in athletics where a regular player is hurt, his substitute comes in to spark his team, and Medwood has done it so far.
Now Carson Long will attempt the point after high snap. The set down, the kick is up and good. And Pittsburgh ties the game with 1 minute and 33 seconds to play in the first half. It is all tied up. Notre Dame going 54 yards in 6 plays the first time they got the ball. The big play in that drive, a 34-yard pass, Clements to Demmerley. The scoring play, a touchdown pass, Clements to Demmerley from 3 yards out. Then Notre Dame drove down the field and was stopped on a fumble at the Pitt 8. After earlier stopping Pittsburgh on a fumble recovery at the Notre Dame 1. That was after Pitt had blocked a Notre Dame punt. So defense has been an important factor, only 14 points on the board, and the game is now tied 7-7.
Keep in mind, this is a very dangerous offensive Pittsburgh football team. Their weakness, perhaps a little bit, is on defense. But offensively, with Dorsett and now with Medwood at quarterback, they are very dangerous. No doubt we'll see Clements come out throwing as he'll try to get in field goal range with 1 minute and 33 seconds left to play in the first half. Back deep for Notre Dame, awaiting the kickoff are number 24, Al Samuel, and number 21, Ron Goodman. Carson Long, who kicked a 54-yard field goal in high school, he's a sophomore, is now in the game to kick off again after hitting the extra point that tied it up. 1:33 to go in the first half. Pittsburgh in white jerseys, gold helmets, and gold pants. Notre Dame in gold, white, and blue. The blue jerseys, the sparkling gold helmets. No sunshine at all in South Bend, a very gray, overcast day.
The temperature's dropping somewhat now. Must be in the high 30s at this point. Wind not a major factor. There is some gusting winds, but it hasn't seemed to have affected play. And now Carson Long, who hits the ball straight ahead, kicks off. Not too deep. The ball will carry inside the 5, taken by Goodman. Out to the 5, the 10, 15, out to the 20, out to the 23-yard line before he's ridden down. On the tackle for Pittsburgh was Bob Flanagan, a linebacker. And so now Notre Dame will go on offense first and 10 with 1 minute and 27 seconds left to play in the first half. And the game all tied at 7-7.
Mutual invites you to listen to Dick Buller Sports, reporting all the latest sports news from around the nation. Weekdays over many of these same Mutual network stations. Dick Buller Sports. Clements in the lineup now, just having come over to the sideline for a moment.
Pete Demmerley comes out wide to the right. It is first and 10 for Notre Dame at the Irish 23. Clements on a keeper play across the 25, across the 30, and out to the 35-yard line. Tom Clements gains 12 yards and gets a Notre Dame first down. Randy Holloway, a freshman tackle, finally wrote him down as Clements is running well with the ball. He has carried 6 times in this game for 37 yards. Now the clock is running. 1 minute and 14 seconds to play in the first half. Clements gets the snap, rolls out to the left. He's going to run again. Now he stops, turns upfield, hit for a loss. He is knocked down inside the 35-yard line. Making the play for Pittsburgh was tackle Al Romano and middle guard Gary Burley. Dave?
Notre Dame likes to use a lot of outside power plays and a lot of option plays. If those pit ends play wide, they'll go with power. If the ends aren't wide, option plays. Secondary up close, they use run-action pass plays.
Notre Dame with 2nd and 11. Clements gives off up the middle. Apparently, Eric Parsegian wants to bring his team into the locker room. There's boos now. They wonder why Notre Dame isn't throwing. But the last time, you'll recall, Notre Dame put the ball in the air. Pittsburgh intercepted. It ultimately led to Pittsburgh's only touchdown of the game. And Notre Dame is letting the clock run. 26 seconds to play in the second quarter here at Notre Dame Stadium. The game is tied 7-7. Bullock has not come back in the game since he fumbled, was hurt on that play, apparently injured an arm. Here is Clements. Now he's going to throw. Looking deep, he fires long. Open is Robin Weber, the tight end. And he is out of bounds at the 38-yard line of Pittsburgh with only 8 seconds to play in the first half. So Notre Dame was running the clock down, did not call a timeout. Now Clements puts it up, gets a 24-yard gainer and a first down.
Boston College leads Syracuse 17-0 at halftime. Penn State over Ohio U 7-0 at half. These are all halftime now. Miami, Ohio 14, Cincinnati nothing. Maryland 21 over Duke nothing at the half. Florida 17, Kentucky 14, and Michigan 17, Purdue nothing. Also at the half. Indiana leads Michigan State 7-3 at halftime. Now these first quarter scores: Georgia Tech 3, Navy nothing. Wisconsin and Northwestern a scoreless tie, and Minnesota leads Illinois 7-0. All first quarter scores. 8 seconds left here at Notre Dame with the score tied at 7-7. 4 Notre Dame mistakes, 2 intercepted passes, a fumble loss, and a block kick have really been the equalizer in this game, although Notre Dame has the big edge in yardage gain. 2 key injuries now to keep in mind. Bullock out for Notre Dame, and the Pittsburgh quarterback, Bill Daniels, out with an injury.
Now we have 8 seconds left to play in the first half. Notre Dame has the ball at the 38-yard line of Pittsburgh. The Irish moving left to right. The game tied 7-7. Clements could have time for a quick down and out pass that might get it in field goal range for freshman David Reeve, who could hit it from long. So we'll see what Tom Clements elects to do here now. Maybe he'll try to put it up into the end zone. Pittsburgh will be in a prevent defense. That should open it up short. Demmerley comes out wide to the right. 8 seconds to play. Here is the snap. Clements fakes, drops back. He looks downfield. He throws long. Going for the ball is Pete Demmerley, and it's broken up at the 3-yard line. Very nice defensive play by the Pitt Panthers as 3 defensive back converged on him, including the monster, the rover, Larry Felt. And so they break it up, and now there are 2 seconds left to play in the first half.
That's right, down 3. Pittsburgh secondary men around Demmerley on that play when a pass was pretty much called for. A big holiday schedule on Mutual of Football on Saturday, December 1st, an NFL doubleheader. Those are playoff games. On Sunday, December 22nd, another NFL doubleheader, playoff games. And remember, too, the Sugar Bowl college game, Florida against Nebraska here on Mutual on New Year's Eve.
Now, this will be the last play of the first half. It is 2nd and 10 at the Pitt 38 for Notre Dame. 2 seconds to go. Clements is rolling out. He throws in the flat. With the ball is Mark Mccain running hard. Mccain is going to be knocked down at the 30-yard line. Glenn Hodge, one of the cornerbacks, knocks him down, and so the Pitt Panthers and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame go to the huddle at the half with the score. Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh 7. Now this for Pontiac.
Pitt getting all set to kick off, and as we start the second half, here again is the voice of Notre Dame football, Mutual's Don Criqui.
And we have a football game here at South Bend. It is 7-7 as we get set to start the third quarter. Carson Long will kick off for Pittsburgh. Pitt kicking off right to left on this overcast day. Pitt with the white jerseys, the gold helmets, the gold pants. And here is Carson Long, the sophomore, drilling the ball low but deep. It carries down to the 1-yard line. Al Samuel to the 10, to the 15, across the 20, and dives out to the 22-yard line. As there's some heavy, hard blocking and hard hitting. And Notre Dame gets set to go on offense.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is Mutual, your news and sports radio network.
This is WMCA New York. Bill Scott wraps up the day's news Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 on the Voice of New York.
All right, we're set to go. To start the third quarter, Tom Clements will be a quarterback for Notre Dame. His wide receiver is Pete Demmerley, set to the right. Mark Mccain is in as a running back. And Wayne Bullock is back in at fullback. Shaken up in the first half, he's back in. Samuel also in the backfield. The give is to Mccain, turns the corner, crosses the 25, out to the 30-yard line. And Mark Mccain gets very close to a Notre Dame first down. He had to advance the ball out to the 32-yard line. The guards, Wojak and Donardo, were out in front of him. And they knocked down the outside linebacker Hard of Pittsburgh. And it's a 10-yard gain on the play by Mark Mccain and a first down for Notre Dame. As the ball is advanced out to the Fighting Irish 32-yard line. With the winds picking up and some sleet falling, it's unlikely to be a whole lot of passing here in the second half. Notre Dame drove down to the 8-yard line of Pittsburgh and fumbled earlier. Here's a give again to Mccain, the hard-running sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware. Hits out to the 34-yard line, a gain of just 2, as Arnie Weatherington, outside linebacker for Pitt, who's played a big game, came up to make the hit.
One thing we haven't seen that we expected to see today was blitzing by that monster back defensively for Pittsburgh. When Pittsburgh gets in trouble defensively, he comes up close to the line of scrimmage and will blitz a lot.
Now it is 2nd and 8 for Notre Dame at the Irish 34. Clements drops back. He's looking to Demmerley. Running it down and in pattern. Here's the pass to Bullock completed. He gets out across the 40. He is chopped down short of a first down. But Notre Dame gets good yardage on the play as Larry Felt, the monster back you're referring to, Dave, came up and cut him down. And we'll see where they spot the ball right around the Notre Dame 40-yard line. That'll bring up third down and 2 yards to go for the first down for Notre Dame. We are early in the third quarter with 13 minutes and 35 seconds to play in the third quarter. Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh 7. Notre Dame football coming to you all season long on the Mutual Broadcasting System. Now, Notre Dame's Tom Clements. He looks, he fakes and gives to Bullock, and Wayne Bullock running ahead probably did not get there. He crossed the 40, got ahead to the 41. He had to get out to the 42-yard line to get the first down. Gary Burley and Tom Perko were both keying on fullback Wayne Bullock of Notre Dame, and they knocked him down just short of a first down. Now they've got to set the ball down. The Pittsburgh coaches are protesting something across the way.
Notre Dame trying to do the same thing they did in the first half, establish that ground game, keep control of the football. Of course, they have a great ground attack led by Wayne Bullock, back in the lineup now after being out late in the first half with an injury. And that makes a tremendous difference in that Notre Dame ground attack to have Wayne the Train in there. A reminder of a big pro football doubleheader on Mutual on Saturday, December 7th. Atlanta at Minnesota and Cleveland at Dallas, both those games on Mutual. And then on December 14th, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh and Dallas at Oakland. They're bringing the chain in now from the far side.
Tom Clements protested that one of the linesmen who had looked at the ball and spotted it down a little bit further up than they had it, but it's still short of the first down. And Clements signals the bench it's about a foot short, he says to Ara Parsegian. And Clements looks over, Ara Parsegian looks in, and he sends his punter Tony Brantley in. Now you'll recall earlier, Brantley attempting to punt deep in his own area. Had the ball blocked as a wave of Pittsburgh men came rushing in through the left side. That was a set play. They had seen something in the films and they knew they could get through. Now Brantley is in to punt again. Dropping back deep for Pittsburgh is Dennis Moorhead. He is standing back at the 22-yard line. Brantley is standing at his 27. He'll hit the ball at about the 31. Dame gets ready for the snap. Down over the ball. Here is a hard snap. Brantley hits the ball, a spiral, not too deep. Carries down inside the 30, takes a Notre Dame hop, rolls down and falls dead at the 25-yard line. Now a fight breaks out on the field. A fight breaks out on the field after a 34-yard punt by Tony Brantley. Number 28 for Pittsburgh, Larry Felton, the monster back, was swinging at somebody as the Pitt coaches are out telling him to get off the field. All that can result in is 15 yards, an injection from the game. Now there's a timeout with the score: Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh 7.
Our air shipping service is better. Our service is better. Ours goes anywhere. Bring sanity to the clutter of air shipping claims. Here's a message from Tom Cole, president of REA Air Express, to clear the air once and for all.
Look, every air shipping service claims it's faster, bigger, or whatever. I say put up or shut up. Last year, REA Air Express delivered 6.5 million shipments, 1 million more than Emory, Airborne, and SkyCab put together. Why? Because only Air Express Priority guarantees boarding of your shipments on the first flight out before any other freight. And only Air Express gives door-to-door service to 450 airport cities and 22,000 communities under the control of one carrier, one management. Insist on the original REA Air Express. It's the service with the differences that you demand. Just call us for a fast pickup. But whatever you do, don't be fooled by the imitators.
Pittsburgh has the ball. Second and 8 at their 27 after a 2-yard pickup. The big play by Steve Niehaus of Notre Dame. Now here's a give to Dorsett. Looks for a hole, can't find one, dives ahead and got 3. He got out to the 30. Big Mike Fanning, the 6'6", 260-pound defensive tackle from Tulsa, Oklahoma, was there to throw him down. And so it's going to bring up 3rd down and 5 for Pittsburgh at the Pitt 30-yard line. In the first half, Notre Dame almost completely shut off the Pitt running game. So far, Pittsburgh has 45 yards rushing in the game and 22 carries. Much unlike a year ago when Dorsett himself got 209. Here is Nedved, sacked back at the 23. Bob Nedved came back to throw, and as he set up to cock his arm, a trio of Notre Dame linemen were on him. Niehaus led the way. Fanning was right with them. And down goes Bob Nedved, and a big loss on the play brings up a 4th and 13, and Pittsburgh will punt.
And Notre Dame did a little gambling that time defensively. They had 4 of their secondary men up very close to the line of scrimmage, almost in a parallel line, and managed to sack the quarterback.
In to punt for Pittsburgh, Larry Swider. He's standing at his 9. Gets the snap. It's a good one. Hits the ball at the 14. He got off a good punt. There's a penalty marker down as Swider was hit. The ball is fielded by Randy Harrison, but we might have a roughing the kicker penalty against Notre Dame. Swider was down the ground. Now he's up and running off all right. Reggie Barnett coming through to try to block the punt is protesting it. Pittsburgh offense is coming back out onto the field as we have a roughing the kicker penalty against Notre Dame, and Pittsburgh will get a 1st down.
Now, a very costly penalty. You have the other team in a punting situation, and then all of a sudden they not only have 15 yards on the field, but also a 1st down and keep possession of the football. So now Pittsburgh has good field position up on the 38-yard line. 1st down 10. 10:35 to go, and this is developing into a bitter struggle here in the second half, tied up 7-7.
So it was a 4th and 13 play. The 15 yards on the penalty against Notre Dame gives Pitt the 1st down barely. The ball is advanced out to the Pittsburgh 38-yard line. Now the officials are conferring with the Notre Dame game captains and with Pittsburgh's offensive captain. That is only the 2nd penalty in this game, but Pittsburgh keeps its drive alive. So far, Pittsburgh has a total of 4 1st downs in the game. Notre Dame has 11, but the score is tied 7-7. Nedved takes the snap. He fakes. He's dropping back to throw. The big rush. They get Nedved. Bob Nedved is hit and hard back inside the 35-yard line. Jim Stock, who's played so superbly at right end, was through. Tom Eastman, the little linebacker, was coming on a blitz. He was through. And Mike Fanning was on the play. So it's going to bring up a 2nd down and 14.
Mike Fanning was the first one through there, but the ball carrier slipped through his arms, and then he helped out on the tackle after his 2 teammates really had made the initial stop. Notre Dame still in that 5-3-2-1 defense.
deep back is Randy Harrison. He's playing way back. Here's a fumble. Pitt's quarterback falls on it, but it'll bring up third down and 15 as Pitt lost a yard. The snap from center was fumbled by quarterback Bob Medwid and quickly fallen on by him. And so with 9:45 to play in the third quarter, third down arises for Pittsburgh at the Pitt 33-yard line, and it's 3rd and 15.
Mutual's Forrest Boyd travels the world covering the president for Mutual News. Keep your ear on Mutual, where the news is no sooner done than said.
The clock is running here at Notre Dame, Indiana. 9:23 to play in the third quarter. Tied up, 7-7. Rod Clarkson, the game as a wide receiver. Here's an end around to Bruce Murphy. Tries to turn the corner. He gets away from one man, gets out to the 39-yard line. Way short of a first down, and Pittsburgh will have to punt. Tom Eastman, a sophomore middle linebacker with good speed. And lateral pursuit, wears number 42. 6'1", 230 pounds, came across hard. And Bruce Murphy, a flanker, a wingback who can catch the ball, who can come back and run with it, is knocked down way short of the first down. It is 4th and 8 for Pittsburgh. And again, Swider is in the game to punt. He's standing at his 26-yard line. Ron Goodman is back deep for Notre Dame. Here is the punt. Swider hits it beautifully. A long, long spiral. Notre Dame lets it roll. It is picked up now to run by Ted Bergmeyer, and he is knocked down at the 6-yard line. Bergmeyer and Goodman were letting the ball roll. They thought it was going to go into the end zone, saw it would not, so Bergmeyer alertly picked it up and got back some yardage. Now at the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh 7. There's a time on the field, and this is for Royal Globe.
A football team with only 10 men on the field is obviously undermanned and underprotected. The same thing with homeowners insurance. When you're playing against inflation, you're both underinsured and underprotected, unless you're insured to value with Royal Globe Insurance. Inflation is this nation's public enemy number one. So have a Royal Globe independent agent advise you on how you can keep ahead of inflation by insuring your home or business at today's value. He's a pro and has all the answers. Homeowners insurance by Royal Globe. Worldwide shield against the unexpected. At Notre Dame Stadium, the clock shows 8 minutes and 29 seconds to go in period number 3. The Irish and the Pittsburgh Panthers are all knotted up at 7 and 7. Both these schools steeped in football tradition. You know about Notre Dame. I'm sure you know about Pittsburgh, too. They've had such famous names as Pop Warner, Jack Sutherland, Wes Fessler, and many others coach at Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh ranks 5th among the nation's colleges in national championships. Notre Dame is 1st, but Pittsburgh is 5th with 8 of them. Jack Sutherland's teams won 5. Pop Warner's teams won 3 national titles. The last time Pitt won a national title, though, was back in 1937.
Now 8:29 to play in the third quarter. Notre Dame again goes on offense deep in its own area of the field. In the game is Eric Pennick. He was in motion well before the snap, and Notre Dame will be penalized back to the 3-yard line, half the distance to the goal. Eric Pennick in the game for the first time was in motion early. So Notre Dame will now have the ball spotted at their 3-yard line.
Irish deep in their own territory. The Irish have not had, Don, really what you'd call good field position today. They had to start in the first half, once from their own 1, another time from their own 4, which they did force the turnover at their own 1. But right now they're deep again on their own 3-yard line. This game's still tied 7 and 7.
So it's going to be first down and 13 for Notre Dame at the Irish 3-yard line. Irish moving left to right. Now Pennick goes in motion. Here is a give up the middle. Wayne Bullock pulls his way out across the 5-yard line and hits out very close to the 10. Straight ahead power running the tackle made by Kelsey Daviston. A gain of some 7 yards by Wayne Bullock. It is going to bring up second down and 6 now for Notre Dame.
Some of the other famous Pitt coaches of the past were Clark Shaughnessy, Wes Fessler, Len Casanova, Tom Hamilton, John Michael Olson. And one Pitt player that stands out in my memory was Marshall Goldberg.
He was a great one. Now it is second and 6 for Notre Dame. Here is Clements looking to throw. A big rush, puts it up on the run. Bullock has it all at the 15. Knocked down at the 20. And it's a first down for Notre Dame. 7 minutes and 44 seconds left to play in the third quarter as the clock runs on. Notre Dame breaks the huddle now. Robin Weber is the tight end set to the right. Eric Pennick is back in the game, has missed most of the season with an ankle injury suffered in the summer. Here is the fake, the give. Again, it goes to the fullback. Pittsburgh going for the ball, can't take it away from Wayne Bullock, and he dives out to the 25. Wayne Bullock got 4 yards. Gary Burley, the 255-pound middle guard for the Pitt Panthers, was on the stop. And the clock continues to run. 7:25 left to play in the third quarter now. Wayne Bullock has run with the ball 16 times. He's gained 64 yards for Notre Dame. Here is a give to Al Samuel. Turns the corner, dives out across the 30. And so it's 3rd and 1 for Notre Dame. The Irish are moving left to right here in the third quarter. Notre Dame Stadium sold out as it is every game. The crowd sitting some huddled under umbrellas. A light misting sleet-like rain is falling. The temperature is dropping into the 30s. A gray overcast day. As Notre Dame, dressed in blue and gold, breaks the huddle, Clements gives to Bullock. A big hole, and Bullock is out to the 40-yard line, still going, and powers his way to the 45. On a spectacular run with the center, Mark Brenneman, knocking Burley right out of the play. But Wayne Bullock is down and shaken up after a 15-yard gain that advances the ball out to the 46-yard line.
Bullock, who is injured right now, went into the ball game today, needing only 14 carries to move ahead of Neil Warden and set a new Notre Dame record for rushing attempts in a season. Bullock needed 91 yards to move into 5th place behind George Gipp in season rushing yardage. Bullock had the best day of his career against Pitt last year, picking up 167 yards and 27 carries and scoring all 4 Irish touchdowns. Now, this is a key point right here, whether Bullock can continue, because he's the meat of the Notre Dame ground attack.
Wayne Bullock is up. He's all right. He was just shaken up. Buck Jersey, the Polish prince from Royal Oak, Michigan, again doing a big job for us on spots and statistics. As we have 6:27 left to play in the third quarter. Bullock with a 15-yard run. Looked like he was down after he got 5 yards. You're sure he was down after he got 10. And he took 2 men with him for another 5. He now has 80 yards and 17 carries. And Notre Dame is driving. They started this drive at their 6th, and they were penalized back to the 3. Clements fakes, gives to Samuel. Here's a big hole, and Samuel's across the 50 and down to the 47-yard line. But these Pitt Panthers are going to force a fumble if they keep hitting like they are. They are hitting high, they're hitting at the ball, and they are coming in hard.
And Notre Dame is very reluctant to go to the air with this slight precipitation falling here in the second half. They are controlling the ball on the ground. They probably will as long as Bullock is in there.
Tom Clements brings his team out of the huddle. 2nd and 3. He fakes, gives to Eric Pennick. He's got a first down and more as Pennick dives inside the 45-yard line and gets down to the 42. Ed Williamowski, a sophomore, made the tackle for Pittsburgh. But Eric Pennick gets a standing ovation for Notre Dame student body. Now, Wayne Bullock comes back in the game, sent out of play. Paris goes out, the backup fullback. Tom Paris from Longmont, Colorado, comes out of the game, and Wayne Bullock is back in. Notre Dame has the ball 1st and 10. It's spotted at the 43-yard line of Pittsburgh. In motion is Al Samuel. The give is to Bullock. Doesn't get much as Pittsburgh is there to shut it off. And Pittsburgh is close to a personal foul call as Ed Williamowski got a little rough after the hit, and he is warned by the official. Dave?
And Pittsburgh's secondary is edging up closer to the line of scrimmage, figuring that Notre Dame won't be passing in this weather, but that's just when you might somehow get a pass, particularly if that secondary keeps edging up there closer and closer.
It is 2nd down and 9 for Notre Dame. The ball at the 42-yard line of Pittsburgh. Here's Clements rolling out, throwing on the run. Wide open. Demmerley has the ball and loses it at the 28 as he was stung hard by Dennis Moorhead. A perfect throw on the run by Tom Clements. Demmerley had his hands on the ball, and then Moorhead came in with a driving, letter-high tackle in the back, and the ball popped free for an incomplete pass. And now it's a 3rd and 9 for Notre Dame.
Well, that's just what Notre Dame did decide to do with that secondary edging up. They decided to risk a pass with the wet football and nearly completed it, but Moorhead gave Pittsburgh great coverage on that particular play.
We have 4 minutes and 36 seconds to play in the third quarter here at South Bend. Notre Dame now looks for a timeout, and Clements calls for a timeout and gets it. Clements wanted to talk something over with Ara Parsegian, and now with the score, Notre Dame 7 and Pittsburgh 7, there's a timeout on the field, and this for Lazy Boy.
This is Coach Don Shula. When it comes to sports, the name of the game is football. And when it comes to relaxing, the name of the game is Lazy Boy. Training and practice is one answer to winning, and in the Lazy Boy chair, you can train yourself to relax and enjoy your leisure moments. So relax in the finest, the Lazy Boy chair. Lazy Boy is professionally constructed with built-in He-Man comfort, and it's a champion when it comes to reclining. If you don't own a Lazy Boy chair now, visit your Lazy Boy dealer soon. You'll be a winner, Tell him Coach Don Shore sent you in.
Notre Dame Stadium, 4:36 now is the time to go in the third quarter. The game's still tied up at 7-7. Can Notre Dame get into the end zone? They've dominated the game up and down the field, but have scored only one touchdown. A reminder, our mutual microphones will be in Denver, Colorado this coming Monday night for the Kansas City Chiefs-Denver Broncos battle. Over many of these same mutual network stations. 1 week from today, the Fighting Irish back in action here at South Bend against the Air Force Academy. Notre Dame in its huddle now. Here's Don.
Notre Dame out of the huddle. The ball at the 42-yard line of Pittsburgh. It is 3rd and 9 for the Irish. The game is tied late in the third quarter, 7-7. Clements fakes, dropping straight back. He throws on the run. Demmerley is going for the ball. No penalty marker down. Demmerley was knocked down before the ball got there. You won't hear us often say the officiating is off, but it certainly was there as Demmerley was flat run over. He was on the ground before the ball came in. But there is no penalty marker down, and so that brings up 4th and 9, and Notre Dame will punt. Demmerley wanting it down and out to the far side of the field as Clements had good protection. As the ball came in, Demmerley had been knocked down by 3 backs who were covering him.
Notre Dame hasn't quite had the punting average today, and remember, too, they've had 1 kick blocked. But in the first half, Bradley averaged just 32.5 on 2 punts. Pittsburgh averaged over 40 on 4 punts, and kicking is emphasized a great deal by Pitt coach Johnny Majors.
Now Tony Brantley standing back at his 44-yard line. He'll be trying to get the ball down inside the 10 if he can. He angles the punt. It's well placed. It is fielded by Dennis Moorhead, who makes a fair catch at the 13-yard line. And Pittsburgh gets the ball 1st and 10 there. So the punt was 30 yards off the foot of Tony Brantley. And now Pitt goes back on offense. And Notre Dame, with the number 1 ranked defense in college football, sends 11 men out who will be after the football.
Larry Pennick has gotten to see some action today. He got into 4 plays in the Miami game 3 weeks ago, did not play in the Navy game. You know, he suffered a serious leg injury last spring and is just now getting back into action.
Pittsburgh breaks the huddle. Bob Medwid, the quarterback. He fakes. He gives off. Dorsett dives ahead, doesn't get much as Notre Dame closes off the hole. Greg Collins was on the stop, along with Kevin Nosbush and Drew Mihalik. Dorsett looking for room to run, didn't find it, then just dove into a gap and got a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8. The ball just across the 15-yard line. Dorsett has run with the ball 13 times in this game. He has gained 40 yards for Pittsburgh, an average of just about 3 yards a carry. Notre Dame has closed him off well. Hutton's the up back. Here is the give again to Dorsett, running hard up the middle. Dorsett gets out to the 20-yard line. He is knocked down there. The middle linebacker, Tom Eastman, got him low and knocked him down as the clock continues to run. It is going to bring up 3rd down and 3 for Pittsburgh at the Pitt 20.
Dorsett's had nowhere near the kind of day he did against Notre Dame last year when he had 209 yards. Last year, he ran a lot back to the weak side. He's very adept at running to daylight, but Notre Dame has managed to shut him off in this game. Part of the reason is Dorsett's still bothered a little bit by that injury.
Here's the snap to Medwid. He's dropping back to throw on 3rd down. The rush is against him. He throws a screen pass incomplete. And Pittsburgh will again have to punt. Tony Dorsett, the intended receiver at the 20-yard line as Notre Dame's front 4 was coming in hard. And now Mike Fanning has to be separated from one of the Pittsburgh linemen. Looks like Joe Stone, the right tackle. Theo Lawrence is the left tackle. Raymond Stoner and Tom Brazosa are the guards, and Mike Carey the center for Pitt. Now again into punt for Pittsburgh is Swider. Larry Swider, who's punted often this afternoon. He is back at his 6. Here is the snap. Notre Dame doesn't go near him, and he drills it downfield. The ball is fielded over the shoulders of Notre Dame 40 by Harrison. He's across midfield, across the 45, across the 40, and down to the 39-yard line. Randy Harrison, a freshman defensive back, fielded a long punt over his shoulder like a baseball center fielder, and then took off straight ahead, and finally was knocked down by Art Brown. They're going to spot the ball right at the Pitt 40, and Notre Dame gets the ball 1st and 10 there.
So now Notre Dame has good field position, and that last long march of Notre Dame, which they couldn't sustain, makes itself felt because they get the ball right back. And of course, that Notre Dame defense held Pitt without a 1st down on that series. Wide Weekend of Sports keeps you up to the minute 27 times every Saturday and Sunday over many of these Mutual Network stations. Keep tuned to Mutual for Dale Conquest and Wide Weekend of Sports.
Here is the give. It goes up to the right side, and running with the ball there is Wayne Bullock. He got inside the Pittsburgh 40-yard line and down close to the 37 before he was knocked down. Glenn Hodge, the left corner again, coming up to force the run and make the hit. And that'll bring up a 2nd down and 7 for Notre Dame at the 37-yard line of Pittsburgh. Notre Dame moving left to right here in the third quarter. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to play in the third quarter. The game is tied 7-7. Clements fakes. He's rolling out. Going to run himself. He's inside the 35 and dives down to the 32. He fumbles the football, and it looks like Pittsburgh has it. Clements hit hard, fumbles the ball, and Pittsburgh recovers. So the Notre Dame good field position and the ensuing drive is stopped again as Glenn Hodge, the senior cornerback from Youngstown, Ohio, recovers the Tom Clements fumble.
Well, each time you commit a turnover like that, particularly a fumble, it costs you right around 40 yards. Where Notre Dame had the good field position, now they give up the ball. That long drive they made a moment ago really goes for naught.
Now Pittsburgh has the ball right back. 1st and 10. Here is a give to Dorsett. He breaks into the open momentarily and is finally knocked down at the 40-yard line as he sprinted ahead from his 32. Tony Dorsett gets ahead for 8 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 2 for Pittsburgh at the Pitt 40. That was the third for Notre Dame with Steve Niehaus. Dave?
Pardon me, Don. That was the third Notre Dame turnover of the game. Plus, Notre Dame had a kick block.
Niehaus finally caught up with Tony Dorsett, who was sprinting up the middle. Notre Dame now goes into a spread formation. The middle linebacker comes down over the nose of the center. Here is a fake, a give to Dorsett. He's running hard, and Notre Dame drills him and drops him hard. Fanning gets off the bottom of the pile. And Eastman, the middle linebacker who came up in a down position as the middle guard, also popped him. So it's going to be very, very close to a 1st down. It was the 2nd and 2 carry, and they're going to measure. They're going to measure at the Pittsburgh 42-yard line as Dorsett, shaken up on the hit, leaves the field. He's all right. He's just going out for a rest. The yard markers come out, and that is short of a 1st down. So the hit straight ahead stops Tony Dorsett, who has gained 53 yards in this game. He has run with the ball 16 times. A year ago against Notre Dame, he ran for more yardage than any back ever has against a Notre Dame team, 209 yards. Dorsett went on to be a consensus All-American as a freshman. Now it's going to be 3rd and a foot for Pittsburgh. The ball at the Pitt 42-yard line. Carl Farmer goes wide to the right. An eye set in the backfield. The deep back is Elliot Walker. The give is to the fullback, and Robert Hutton fights out to the 45-yard line, and he has a 1st down for Pittsburgh. He was knocked down by outside linebacker Greg Collins and the other outside linebacker Drew Mahalik, 2 seniors from Michigan.
Actually, 200-yard-plus games were commonplace for Dorsett last year. In one game, he had 265 against Northwestern. He had a flock of 200-yard games last year and has this year, but he's slowed down a little bit right now by the Notre Dame defense and by his own injury.
But Pitt is starting to move the ball on the run. Here's a pitch back to Elliot Walker, and Walker breaks inside the Notre Dame 45-yard line and breaks all the way down to the 40 before he is knocked down by Drew Mahalik. A pitch back to a lightning-quick freshman from Miami, Florida, resulting in a 15-yard gain for the Pitt Panthers as they, for the first time in the game, are starting to move the ball on Notre Dame, running it. We have 1 minute and 7 seconds left to play in the third quarter. The clock is running again. 1 minute to play in the third quarter. Notre Dame 7, Pittsburgh 7. Here at South Bend, Pittsburgh is moving right to left. Their starting quarterback, Bill Daniels, was hurt. He's been out. Bob Medved's been in. Here's a give to Dorsett. He's knocked down for a loss. A fine play by defensive end Jim Stock, whose hallmark is making plays in the other team's backfield. He's not a big defensive lineman, 6'3", 214, a junior from Barberton, Ohio, but they can't hold him out of the backfield.
Not only does he make plays in the other team's backfield, but he comes up with that big defensive play just when you need it in a clutch situation. Did that against Navy 2 weeks ago. Set up a score with a tackle.
Here is the give. Medved pitches back. It goes to Tony Dorsett looking for room to run. He weaves inside the 40 and is knocked out of bounds at about the 35-yard line of Notre Dame. Randy Payne ran him out of bounds, but Tony Dorsett gained 6 yards for Pittsburgh. It'll be 2nd down and 4 for the Pitt Panthers with 15 seconds to play in the third quarter. Dave?
Third quarter score is Boston College way out ahead of Syracuse, 31-0. Michigan leads Purdue, 34-0. How about that? A third quarter score. And Maryland 35, Duke 7 after 3.
Ohio State leading Iowa 14-7 in the second quarter. Here is Nedved on third down, throwing the ball. A man is open. It's overthrown and incomplete at the Notre Dame 23-yard line. Bruce Murphy, the quick wingback, was running down and out. Nedved threw the ball in hard, and it was overthrown, well overthrown, and that brings up fourth down. Georgia Tech leads Navy 5-0 after 3. Penn State over Ohio U 21-0. We'll give you all third quarter scores now. It's 21-7, Miami of Ohio over Cincinnati. Here's a score in the fourth quarter. This is not a final. Florida, Kentucky tied up 24-24. And again, Carson Long is in. He's setting up for a 52-yard field goal attempt. He hit from 54 yards in high school. He's got the ball downfield. It's good from 52 yards away. Carson Long hits the crossbar. It bounces over. And Pittsburgh takes the lead 10-7. A sophomore place kicker, Carson Long, in the cold and sleet here at Notre Dame, pops a 52-yard field goal with 4 seconds to play in the third quarter. Well, when he tried one in the first half of the ball game, he was way, way short. And actually, in field goals this year, he's hit on only 4 out of 10. But he has hit long ones before. That is in his range. And what wind there is today, a wind right at 10 to 15 miles per hour, was at his back on that particular kick. He's 25 for 27 and extra points. So Carson Long puts Pittsburgh on top here, 10-7, with 4 seconds to go in the third quarter. The turn of the ball had to be just right as it skipped over the crossbar, and so Pittsburgh for the first time leads the game 10-7. 4 seconds to play in the third quarter. As Carson Long is now set to kick off for Pitt, he is a straight-ahead kicker. Does not kick soccer style as so many long-distance kickers do now. Dropping back for Notre Dame is Al Samuel. Back with him is a freshman, Terry Urick. Terry Urick, a freshman, is now in the game for Notre Dame, a high school All-American who played on the Michigan State Championship football team at Saginaw, Michigan, Arthur Hill High School last year. So Notre Dame is going to have to start to open it up. They got the good field position once in the third quarter. They were driving with the ball, and then Clements was forced into a fumble. Now the Pittsburgh team is summoned together in a huddle. They break the huddle, and let's see what Carson Long is going to try here. This might be an onside kick. Majors will pull out all the stops to try to win this game. He brought his team over before he kicked the ball again to say something to him. The entire 11 men on the kickoff team assembled in the huddle. Now Carson Long looks at the ball. He's got it teed up. Urick, they're trying to kick away from Terry Urick. Long hits the ball, drills it downfield. Urick is going to field it, and it's taken away from him by Samuel right in front of him. He runs across the 10, across the 15. I've never seen a team hit like Pittsburgh is now in the second half. Pittsburgh is hitting with vicious tackles, and they are knocking Notre Dame down cold as the third quarter ends. The end of the third quarter with a score. Pittsburgh 10 and Notre Dame 7. Well, so many times the adrenaline starts to flow when a team gets a break or two, when they can get on the scoreboard, as Pittsburgh did late in the first half of the ball game, and now as they have done late in the third quarter of the game. They've been outplayed statistically, but Notre Dame has made key mistakes, and right now Pittsburgh leads 10-7 in this game going into the fourth quarter. At halftime, it's Vanderbilt 10, Tulane 7. These are all halftime scores. Mississippi over LSU 7-0. Auburn over Georgia 14-10. Tennessee leading Ole Miss 7-0. Wisconsin over Northwestern 28-7. Ohio State over Iowa 14-7. Indiana on top of Michigan 7-3 at halftime. Illinois and Minnesota tied 7-all. Oklahoma 14, Kansas 7 at the half. A first quarter score is Texas Tech 7 and Baylor nothing. And a third period score was Purdue trailing Michigan by a score of 34-0. Third quarter cumulative statistics now show Notre Dame ahead in total yardage, 284 to 111. Now we enter the fourth quarter here of a thrilling, exciting football game. Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. The Irish will take over as we go into the fourth period. First down 10 on their own 17-yard line. The Irish have outgained Pittsburgh 284 to 111 in yardage, but they trail on the scoreboard 10-7. Irish have 14 first downs in the ball game. Pittsburgh 6. Fourth quarter set to begin. Notre Dame now trailing 10-7. Clements, the quarterback, with a first and 10 at his 17-yard line. He's rolling out, looking to throw. He fires in the flat. Samuel is open, a great spectacular catch high in the air at the 28-yard line, and then he runs ahead before he's knocked out of bounds close to the 34-yard line. We pause briefly for station identification. This This is Mutual, your news and sports radio network. Notre Dame gets a 17-yard gainer and a first down. They now have the ball at their 34. Clements is looking to throw again. He fires up the middle. Robin Weber is wide open across midfield and down to the 47-yard line of Pittsburgh. The tight end, Robin Weber from Dallas, Texas, with a fly pattern down the middle, and he pulled up and hauled it, and Clements drilled it right in. This was a 19-yard gain as Notre Dame moves on. They've gone from the run to now where they've thrown him consecutive downs, and they've gained 36 yards in 2 straight throws. Demmerley now goes wide to the right. They're triple teaming Demmerley, and Clements is looking to other. Here's a give to Bullock, straight ahead, a lot of room to run. He gets inside the Pittsburgh 40 as Notre Dame now is opening up the offense. The left side of the Notre Dame line, Steve Neese and Al Wojak, and the tight end Robin Weber. Blue Pittsburgh lineman off the play. And ahead for 9 yards goes the fullback, Wayne Bullock. So now Notre Dame is driving here in the 4th quarter. But the Fighting Irish trail in the game 10-7. It is 2nd down and 1 for Notre Dame. Clements brings his team out. Temperatures in the 30s now. It's tough to handle the football. Clements is dropping back. He's looking. He's going to get hit and dropped. No, way back at his 48-yard line. Tom Clements is thrown down. So there's a loss on the play of about 14 yards.
On that 52-yard field goal by Carson Long ties the record of longest field goal against a Notre Dame team. It was set by a familiar name, Fred Cox, now with the Minnesota Vikings. It was set by Cox in 1961. He kicked a 52-yarder against the Irish, and Carson Long did it today, the 2 longest ever against Notre Dame. So now it is 3rd down and 14 for Notre Dame, as Clements is thrown for a long loss. The ball at the Notre Dame 49-yard line. 3rd and 14. Demmerley's to the right. Samuels in motion. Here is the fake. A big rush. A screen pass. It goes to Bullock. He runs inside the 45. And Bullock is down to the 42-yard line. And there it will be 4th down for Notre Dame, with 13:04 left to play in the ball game and the clock running. Don Crickey with Dave Martin. Notre Dame football on the Mutual Broadcasting System. In that 3rd quarter, when Pittsburgh got a field goal for the only scoring of the quarter, Notre Dame still had a big edge in statistics, 82-38 in rushing yards and 17-0 in passing yards.
Now, on 4th and 5, Notre Dame is going for the first down from scrimmage at the Pitt 43. Clements is dropping back. He's rolling out to the right. He throws on the run. The ball is broken up and Pitt takes over the football. The intended receiver was Robin Weber at the 30-yard line, and it was knocked down by the monster back Larry Felt. So Notre Dame gambles and loses, and Pitt takes over the ball at the Pitt 43-yard line.
Feldman thought he should have had an interception. Wasn't satisfied with just breaking it up in a key situation, a 4th down, 5 yards to go situation. He pounded his fist on the ground, mad at himself because he hadn't made an interception. Now Pittsburgh up on the 42-yard line, leading 10-7.
Wide to the right is Carl Farmer. It is 1st and 10 for Notre Dame, for Pittsburgh at the Pitt 42. Here is the give to Dorsett, knocked down for no gain. Kevin Nosbush collared Tony Dorsett as he tried to run off tackle on the right side and threw him right down. Nosbush, the 265-pound senior from Milwaukee, back in the lineup. They're going to spot the ball down maybe a half yard ahead. We'll call it 2nd and a long 9 for Pittsburgh. The ball out to the Pitt, close to the 43. In the Pittsburgh area of the field. Pittsburgh is moving left to right here in the 4th quarter. Pittsburgh 10, Notre Dame 7. Nedwitt gives off. Straight ahead with the ball is Walker. Elliot Walker, the freshman, is ahead inside the Notre Dame 45-yard line. And down to the 44 before he finally knocked down a 13-yard gain. On the tackle was linebacker Drew Mahalik.
And that's the man who just might prove to be the difference. Elliot Walker, very similar runner to Tony Dorsett. You know how good All-American Tony Dorsett is. But Walker's mighty good, too, and he's starting to rip off some big chunks of yardage.
167 yards and 4 touchdowns for Walker last week against Temple. He's got 28 yards and 2 carries today. Here's the give, a fumble. Notre Dame has the football. Panning calls on the football at the Notre Dame 46-yard line. The give was a misconnection. The running back barely had the ball. Elliot Walker, the freshman, he slipped in as he tried to get possession. The ball fell free, and the very quick big man, Mike Fanning, fell on it for Notre Dame. So now, with 11:33 left to play in the game, Notre Dame gets back possession of the football, and Hennick comes into the game in the Irish backfield. deep. He's out as a wingback. Clements with a first and 10 at his 46. He fakes, he gives to Pennick, cutting up the middle. Pennick dives ahead, gets almost nothing. As Pitt comes back with a hard tackle from the left tackle, Al Romano, and the right tackle, freshman Randy Holloway. The ball is advanced to the Notre Dame 47-yard line. A gain of a yard by Eric Pennick. It'll be second down and 9.
Pennick and Dave Janicek of Pittsburgh, who has played very little today, were teammates in high school at Gilmore Academy near Cleveland. Janicek used to do the blocking for Pennick in high school.
What a football game here. Second and 9. Clements is dropping back to throw. Here's a big rush against him. He eludes it. Now he's got to run back the other way. They're going to drop him way back at his 36-yard line. Gary Burley busting up the middle. And Pitt getting a wide rush that collared the Notre Dame quarterback, Tom Clements, did not allow him to get upfield. He could not find an open man. Actually didn't have time to set up. And again, Clements is thrown for a big loss, 11 yards. And this is now going to bring up a third down and 21 for Notre Dame. Back at the Notre Dame 35-yard line.
Well, if there's ever a key play in a football game, it would be right now. 10:22 to go. Third down, 21.
Clements with a long count. He's dropping back to throw on third down, rolling out to the right. He has some time. Now throws on the run. Going for the ball is Pete Demmerley. And he catches it, but out of bounds. Pete Demmerley with a brilliant one-hand catch way down at the 23-yard line of Pitt, but he got the ball out of bounds. Larry Felton was covering. That brings up fourth down for Notre Dame. And Brantley comes out to punt. So Notre Dame is unable to move as Clements is thrown for the big loss on second down. And now it'll be punter Tony Brantley getting the football for Notre Dame. Is dropping back as a deep safety for Pittsburgh is Dennis Moorhead. He's the only man back. Pittsburgh is looking possibly for Brantley to try a pass. We have 10 minutes and 6 seconds to play in the game. Pittsburgh leads Notre Dame 10-7. Here is the snap. It's low. It's fumbled. Brantley gets it away. I don't know how. Not too deep. It's a high kick. Takes a Notre Dame hop way downfield. It's going to roll inside the 20-yard line. So Notre Dame gets a miraculous play from Brantley. The huge rush against him on a bad snap. He fumbled it. He got the kick away, and the end result is a 50-yard punt. Now the score, Pittsburgh 10 and Notre Dame 7. There's a timeout on the field, and this for Signoff and Ford.
I want that sinus medicine.
Headache tablets?
No, sinus medicine. Helps the headache and the pressure.
Oh, you mean sign-off.
Exactly.
Exactly right. When sinus flares up with congestion and pain, insist on Sign-Off tablets. Sign-Off delivers a full dose of pure aspirin plus a sinus drainer. Sign-Off helps sinus pain while you drain. Use only as directed.
Signoff.
Sign-off.
Exactly.
Sign-Off, the sinus medicines in the bright red box.
Introducing Mustang 2 for $75.
I got this fabulous car that drives me out of my mind. A car I never thought I would find. Mustang 2, it's incredible, and it's mine.
Take a close look at the new Mustang 2. 4 beautiful models, now with the exciting performance of an optional V8 engine.
Mustang 2, it's incredible.
The closer you look, the better we look. See for yourself at your local Ford dealer.
Score here is 10-7 in favor of Pittsburgh. The Panthers have started now from deep in their own territory with 2 short gains on running plays.
And the Pitt Panthers, as we get back to the action, will have a 3rd and 2 coming up from their 23-yard line. 3rd and 2 for Pitt in the fourth quarter. 8:46 to play in it. Pitt's back from Medved to Tony Dorsett. He is hit and dropped for a loss at the 20. A great play by freshman Randy Harrison, who came up from the safety. It was a one-on-one open field situation. Dorsett putting on the moves, and Harrison puts on the hard hit that knocks down Tony Dorsett at the 20. That will bring up 4th down and 6 for Pittsburgh.
Well, that Notre Dame secondary, it's so hard. Barnett and Harrison have so much speed, do a great job in their 4th in the nation pass defense.
Swider in the punt for Pittsburgh. Here is the snap. It's a good one. He hits the ball at his 11. Not a good punt. It's downfield. It takes a Pittsburgh hop then and finally rolls out of bounds across midfield and inside the Notre Dame 45. A 35-yard punt, but he got the last 15 yards on the roll. And so Notre Dame goes back on offense. 8 minutes and 2 seconds left to play in the game here at Notre Dame Stadium. Underdog Pittsburgh Pittsburgh 10. Notre Dame 7. Notre Dame ranked 4th nationally in one poll, 5th in the other. Pittsburgh, coming into the game with a 7-2 record, is ranked 11th nationally in one poll, 13th in the other. But now Notre Dame has to move the ball as time is becoming a very, very big factor. 8:02 to play. Clements rolls out to the right. He darts, he looks, he runs with the ball, and he gets ahead for 2 or 3 yards out close to the midfield stripe, where he was knocked down by Randy Holloway. They're going to spot him ahead for 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7 for Notre Dame.
Because that was the option play, and Clements was looking at that defensive end. If the defensive end charges, he'll pitch it out. But he kept it that time, so the defensive end was staying back, playing it cozy, and when Clements tried to cut in, he was nailed for a very short gain.
Notre Dame moving right to left, open field to the left. 7:35 to play in the game, the clock running. Here is a give and a counter play, goes to Al Samuel. He turns inside the midfield stripe, gets down close to the 47-yard line. Tom Perko, the left end for the Pitt Panthers, was on the stop. That is going to bring up a 3rd down and 2 for Notre Dame. 3rd and 2 for the Fighting Irish at the 47-yard line of Pittsburgh. The clock continues to run. 7 minutes and 9 seconds left to go in the game. Pittsburgh 10, Notre Dame 7. Open field to the right for the Fighting Irish. Here is Clements with a full house backfield. Fakes, gives it the second back through. Samuel didn't get there. Al Samuel is knocked down short of the first down carry by Al Romano. The big sophomore defensive tackle wears 91 for Pittsburgh. And also on the stop was the middle guard, Gary Burley.
Pittsburgh defense reading the Irish now. The linebackers were up very close, anticipating Weatherington and Daviston, plugging those gaps, plugging the holes, plugging the gaps in the defensive line. Pittsburgh has stayed in the 5-man line the entire game. Ara Parsegian pacing the sideline below us. Across the way, Majors walking back and forth quickly. It is 4th down and 2 for Notre Dame at the Pitt 47. Clements gives off to Bullock. He has the first down. He's down to the 40-yard line. So Notre Dame on a 4th down carry goes to Wayne Bullock, and the big guy gets 7. And now the clock shows 6:13 to play. On the tackle for Pittsburgh was Ed Wilowski, a sophomore defensive end. At that time, Pittsburgh was in a virtual 7-man line. The 2 linebackers right up on the line of scrimmage, the closest they've been all day.
Bullock now has 100 yards and 21 carries. The clock is running, 6 minutes to play. Notre Dame trails. Here's Clements rolling out, turns upfield. He's got yardage and down to the 31-yard line. And Clements is very close to a first down. Took the snap, rolled out to the left, then cut back against the grain. And Tom Clements is down to the 31-yard line of Pittsburgh. Kelsey Daviston, an outside linebacker, made the stop. What a football game. We have 5:35 left to play. And Notre Dame is on the drive, but Pittsburgh is in the lead. 10-7. Pittsburgh taking the lead on a 52-yard field goal by Carson Long. Now Clements sets his team down. Open field to the right. Give to Bullock. Runs ahead. Powers his way for yardage. When he was hit at the line of scrimmage, he has a first down for Notre Dame. Another Notre Dame first down to the Pittsburgh 26. Notre Dame's 18th first down to 7 for Pittsburgh.
Fans plan to be with us for a big college football doubleheader here on Mutual 2 weeks from today. You'll hear the traditional Army-Navy battle from Philadelphia, followed by Notre Dame against one of their strongest rivals, the Southern California Trojans. All on Mutual 2 weeks from today.
You've never seen a harder-hitting college football game as Notre Dame tries to come back now in the 4th quarter. Clements is rolling out. He's looking. He throws. Open is Bullock. He drops the ball at the 20 at the 19-yard line. Wayne Bullock got his hands on a high, hard pass from Clements. Couldn't hold on. But that stops the clock with 4:59 left to play in the game. Pittsburgh 10, Notre Dame 7. Notre Dame football coming to you all season long on the Mutual Broadcasting System. You'll hear the Sugar Bowl, Nebraska and Florida from Tulane Stadium in New Orleans, New Year's Eve on Mutual. Right now, Notre Dame headed for the Orange Bowl at a date with the team now ranked number 1 in one poll. Alabama has to get back in this game as Pittsburgh right now has an upset going in the 4th quarter. It's 10-7. Notre Dame with 2nd and 10. Clements is dropping back. Burley's rushing him. Complete to Samuel. Inside the 25, and he slips and falls. Al Samuel would have gone for a first down, tried to cut back. He lost his footing. And that's going to bring up a 3rd down and a long 4 for Notre Dame, just outside the Pitt 20-yard line. Now he's starting at the 22.
Pardon me, Don. A good example of how what field can be an equalizer. He had 3 Notre Dame blockers in front of him and would have had a much longer gain than that had he not slipped and fallen into the turf. Clements now 13 for 22 and passing 151 yards.
Notre Dame with a 3rd down and 6 with the ball is spotted at the 22-yard line of Pittsburgh. They go to Bullock. He runs ahead, and Bullock gets the first down. Unbelievable power running by Wayne Bullock. He just took the Pittsburgh right side line and then knocked him down with a straight-ahead charge. And he gets all the way down to the 12-yard line. So now we have the clock running. 4 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in the game. Pittsburgh 10, Notre Dame 7. But Notre Dame on the big third down carry by Wayne Bullock gets a first down at the Pitt 12. Now the Notre Dame players signaling their standing student body to keep the noise down. They're moving the ball right in front of the student body. Here's Clements to Bullock. Again he fights ahead, and again the big man gets down to the 5-yard line. An incredible performance by Wayne Bullock. He is literally taking Pittsburgh tacklers and carrying them with him, and one Pitt player just shook his hand. He can't believe it. Bullock has now run with the ball 24 times. He's gained 122 yards. He was finally knocked down on that play by Gary Burley. Just unbelievable. What an apt nickname he has. Wayne the Train Bullock. The train is pulling everything alongside. The Notre Dame players are huddled together, jumping up and down. The Pitt players across the way standing quietly. They lead the game 10-7, but Notre Dame is driving. It'll 2nd and 3 from the 5. Bullock down inside the 3 is knocked back. He is very close to a first down. Wayne Bullock runs again. These Pitt players, you have to take your hats off to them. They are literally congratulating Wayne Bullock because he has done just a magnificent job bringing Notre Dame back in the game. Now the clock shows 2 minutes and 59 seconds left to play. 2:59 to play, and they're going to bring out the yard markers. The ball is inside the Pittsburgh 5-yard line. Notre Dame had to get down to the 2, the 2.5 to get a first down. And they're going to bring the markers out. Here is the spot down. They did not get the first down. Notre Dame will have third down coming up. They did not get in. An unbelievable college football game here at Notre Dame, Indiana. The Fighting Irish trailing 10-7 in the fourth quarter as the clock is running down. Go to the ground, they drive on. Wayne Bullock, their big fullback from Newport News, Virginia, has been the master. He has run 50 in this game. He has run 25 times for 124 yards. But when the heat and the pressure was on in this fourth quarter drive, they went to Wayne Bullock, and he's gotten them down close, but Notre Dame has not scored yet. It is 3rd and a foot. Bullock is the lone setback as Notre Dame goes into a big front. Clements takes it. He's in for a touchdown. What a football play. Clements took the snap. He was into the end zone like a rabbit. Tom Clements shot in from the 3-yard line. He was into the end zone so fast going off left tackle, and Notre Dame takes the lead.
And again, Notre Dame saw something apparently from up high because that play was sent in from the bench. Weber took it in. Demmerley had come out just before that play, and Clements, who has run rarely in the second half, ran a little bit of the first half, took it in for the TD, and the Irish were on top 13-10. Here's our lazy boy winners. Wayne Bullock, Notre Dame, the offensive player. Kelsey Daviston of Pittsburgh, the defensive player.
Now the extra point attempt. Alaka will hold. Here is the snap, the set down, the kick is up and good by David Reed. And Notre Dame takes a 14-10 lead, so Pittsburgh will need a touchdown to win it. There'll be no tie. And now with the score, Notre Dame 14 and Pittsburgh 10. Will be back with the Notre Dame kickoff in just a moment.
The winner and new heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
Right now, for a nominal charge and coach, you can see the fight upset of the century on every TWA movie flight to California. So if you already have a full fare ticket on some other airline, don't worry. TWA will honor it. To reserve your ringside seat, call TWA or your travel agent and ask for the flights with the fight. No other airline has it.
Has been named the standing offensive player today by our panel of 3 of the nation's top sports writers. And Kelsey Daviston, a linebacker, has been named the top defensive player. And now Notre Dame's Pat McLaughlin is ready to kick off. 2 minutes and 49 seconds left to go in the game. Pittsburgh will have to come back and score a touchdown to win, as Notre Dame gets the touchdown on a quick dart off left guard by quarterback Tom Clements from 2.5 yards out. Just unbelievable how quickly Clements took the snap and was into the end zone. Like a sprinter coming out of the block. Now McLaughlin has the ball teed up. He looks downfield. He'll be kicking off right to left. He approaches the ball. He is into it. It is a high spinning kickoff. It carries down to the 7-yard line.
tried to cut back, lost his footing, and all of a sudden, Becker came in and drilled him. Notre Dame players started to signal they had the ball. They did not. The ball is at the 18-yard line of Pittsburgh. 2 minutes and 44 seconds left to play in the game. Pittsburgh breaks the huddle. Notre Dame 14, Pittsburgh 10. Notre Dame having just come back with a long drive to take the lead. Here is Nedwood getting set to throw. He throws on the run as he's hit. He is hit and hit down hard by Nosbush, and he put the ball up for grabs trying to get rid of it. It was almost intercepted by Notre Dame, and had it been, it would have been a touchdown. Nosbush coming through, just knocking the guard aside and coming right in on Nedwood, the quarterback for Pittsburgh. That will bring up second down and 10 now for Pitt.
Reminder that the Irish will be in action a week from today against the Air Force Academy. You'll hear the game over these mutual network stations. Notre Dame against Air Force.
Boy, these two teams were ready to play today. What hitting. It is now in the fourth quarter. 2:39 to play, and it is linebacker Greg Collins of Notre Dame. Comes in now to check where the ball is spotted. The ball is at the 18-yard line of Pittsburgh. Nedwood is the quarterback. Starting quarterback Daniels went out. Here is a snap procedure penalty against Notre Dame. The ball is thrown downfield, completed to Walker for a first down. Notre Dame had too many men on the field as John Dubinetsky tried to get off. Nedwood saw him running off the field and called for the snap before he got over to the sideline. But Pittsburgh gets the big gainer, so they'll decline the penalty. They got a 15-yard gain on the play. On a quick throw, downfield to Bruce Murphy. Now Dubinetsky comes back in. And coming out of the game for Notre Dame, Tom Lipinski. 2 minutes and 34 seconds left to play in the game. Pittsburgh trailing Notre Dame 14-10. Notre Dame scored first early in the first quarter. And then Pittsburgh came back to tie it. It was 7-7 at the half. Then Pitt went ahead on a 52-yard field goal. Then Notre Dame drove back. Here is the give to Dorsett. He gets nothing. As Nosbush again knocks the guard aside and knocks down Dorsett. Big play by Kevin Nosbush.
Winding down here, 2:12 to go, and Don, you've said it so many times today, what a hard-hitting game this has been, and particularly an emotional game after Pittsburgh went ahead in the third quarter. Somehow Notre Dame had to stop that momentum as the adrenaline was flowing in Pittsburgh. They did it and scored, and they're ahead.
Dorsett has 60 yards and 22 carries. Nedwood looking long. He fires downfield. The ball is up. It is caught by Elliot Walker at the 41-yard line of Notre Dame by Bruce Murphy. Murphy in the middle of the Notre Dame secondary gets his hands on the ball, and it's a first down for Pittsburgh with 1:46 to play. And now a timeout is signaled for on the field. A timeout is signaled for with a score. Notre Dame 14 and Pittsburgh 10. Let's take timeout for this from Delco.
Maybe all you know about batteries is that they are necessary to start your car. And you want one that'll give you dependable starting. And that's just what the Delco battery was designed to do. It supplies a burst of power to start a car in almost any weather. If you're just not sure about your battery, stop in at a Delco dealer. Have him check everything out. If you need a new battery, have him install a Delco battery. D-E-L-C-O. Delco.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is Mutual, your news and sports radio network. Set to go to the last 1 minute, 46 seconds of this thriller today at Notre Dame. Wherever you may be listening, we hope you've enjoyed it. Mutual carrying this game coast to coast, plus on more than 700 stations of the American Forces Network. It's 14-10 Notre Dame, but Pittsburgh right now on the Notre Dame 41-yard line.
Pittsburgh, after taking the lead, then losing it, is now driving late in the game. 1:46 to play. Pittsburgh has the ball first and 10 at the Notre Dame 41-yard line. Here is Nedwood dropping back to throw over the middle, and again Bruce Murphy catches the ball. It's another Pittsburgh first down. Bruce Murphy, the flanker back, gets inside the 30 and gets down to the 28-yard line. He is knocked down there by Notre Dame defensive back John Dubinetsky. Murphy now has 3 straight catches for 54 yards, and Pitt has the ball at the Notre Dame 28. Carl Farmer comes out wide to the right as Bob Nedwood, the backup quarterback, doing a great job for Pittsburgh. He's dropping the throw. He's looking. They're going to get him. Now he gets away. Nedwood's running. He goes down at the 30, a loss of 3. Nedwood was caught way back. Niehaus was on him like a cat. But he eluded Niehaus, ducked under him, ran straight ahead, and went down at the 30. And that's going to bring up second down and 13 for Pittsburgh. 1:08, 1:07 left to go. The clock is running. 1:03, 1:02 as Pitt breaks the huddle. Here is the snap to Nedwood. Pittsburgh jumps offside. Pittsburgh jumped offside before the snap. The left guard left early. And so it'll be a 5-yard assessment against Pittsburgh. Now there's a timeout with the score. Notre Dame 14 and Pittsburgh 10.
The winner, a new heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
Right now, for a nominal charge and coach, you can see the fight upset of the century on every TWA movie flight to California. So if you already have a full fare ticket on some other airline, don't worry. TWA will honor it. To reserve your ringside seat, call TWA or your travel agent and ask for the flight with the fight. No other airline has it.
Now Pittsburgh on the 35-yard line of Notre Dame in a 2nd and 18 situation.
To the action here at Notre Dame Stadium, and Pittsburgh quickly calls for yet another timeout after the penalty. Pittsburgh wants another timeout with 57 seconds left as Nedwood goes over to talk to his head coach, Johnny Majors. So we have 57 seconds left to play. Notre Dame 14, Pittsburgh 10. As we go back to the action, it'll be second down and 18 for Pittsburgh at the Notre Dame 35-yard line.
That was the first Pittsburgh penalty of the game. How about that? 57 seconds left to go in the football game. And Buck Jersey, our spotter statistician, tells us that's the first Pittsburgh penalty today. We hope you've enjoyed this football game. It isn't over yet. It's been a tremendous game. Notre Dame leading right here 14-10, and Pittsburgh threatening.
Excitement in this stadium has been tremendous. 57 seconds left to go now. Pittsburgh very much alive, but they have big, long yardage coming up. 2nd and 18. Wide receivers to either side. Murphy's to the right. Nedwood's looking to Murphy. Here's the big rush. Murphy downfield. The ball is incomplete. Murphy had it on his hands at the 25-yard line and was quickly hit by Randy Harris, and he lost it. So that will bring up 3rd and 18 for Pittsburgh at the Notre Dame 35-yard line. 6 seconds were used on the play, 51 seconds to play in the game.
Notre Dame and still a 5-man line. They've changed their perimeter defense a little bit in a prevent defense, and they're sending in players now in almost every play with those defensive signals.
Notre Dame breaks the huddle out wide to the left. Is Carl Farmer. Here is Nedwood looking, pumping, throwing down the middle. The ball is caught. The ball is caught by Rodney Clark down at the Notre Dame 18-yard line. And it's going to be very close to a first down. Rod Clark, the man they call a Pink Panther, goes downfield for 20 yards and catches the ball. And he has a first down on the play. 3rd and 18, and Pitt makes the connection and gets the first down. They're going to spot it at the Notre Dame 17-yard line. 35 seconds to play. The clock is running. Nedwood, the quarterback, takes the snap. Hands off. Penalty markers go down, as does the Pitt running back after a gain of only a yard. A legal motion against Pittsburgh is the call with 28 seconds to go. A legal motion against Pittsburgh. So we'll see what Notre Dame elects to do here. There was a quick handoff as Pitt tried to go to the run. And a legal, somebody left early in the Pittsburgh backfield.
Pitt using very quick count plays now, trying to get those plays off just as quickly as they can. And in doing so, they got that penalty, an illegal procedure penalty. They weren't quite set. Dubineski was talking to the official after the penalty had been called.
So we're going to come right down to the final seconds of this game. 25 seconds to go. The clock has started up. 20 seconds to play. Pittsburgh breaks the huddle. 1st and 15 at the Notre Dame 22. Nedwood rolls out. The rush against him. He dumps it off, incomplete. That stops the clock with 11 seconds to play. It'll be 2nd and 15 for Pittsburgh. The intended receiver was Bruce Murphy, as Medwid, the Pittsburgh quarterback from the same hometown as Notre Dame quarterback Tom Clements, McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania, had to trigger the ball very quickly against a big Notre Dame rush.
Lots of signaling going on from the Notre Dame bench from Arrow Persigan and the top defensive coach, George Kelly.
Now Pittsburgh breaks the huddle. 11 seconds to play in the game. The ball's at the Notre Dame 22. Medwid takes the snap, rolls down, a big rush against him. He throws into the end zone. Farmer goes for the ball. It's broken up by Barnett. Reggie Barnett breaks the ball up in the end zone. As Farmer was open and Barnett went way up and slapped it away. And so now there's 5 seconds left to play in the game. Pittsburgh with probably time for only one more play.
Well, Barnett's a clutch performer, and the slightest miscue, had he misjudged that ball, had he not got his hands on it and knock it away, it would have been a Pittsburgh touchdown because the intended receiver was behind him in the end zone. But Barnett is very steady in pass defense.
They're standing here at Notre Dame Stadium now as we're coming down to the final play of the game. Notre Dame went 54 yards the first time the Fighting Irish had the ball in the first quarter. They scored on a 3-yard pass from Clements to Demmerley. Then Pittsburgh came back. After a blocked punt, they scored to tie the game. It was 7-7 at the half. Pittsburgh on a 52-yard field goal by Carson Long took the lead 10-7. And then late in the fourth quarter, Notre Dame drove down the field behind the brilliant running of Wayne Bullock, and finally Tom Clements ran it in from 3 yards out on a quick draw, quarterback draw right up the middle. And so it's Notre Dame 14, Pittsburgh 10. The ball is spotted at the Notre Dame 22-yard line, and this will probably be the final play of the game, as Pittsburgh needs a touchdown to win. A field goal is useless to them. They're down by 4 points. 5 seconds left to play.
Notre Dame keeps statistics on passes broken up. They keep track of those during the year. And going in today, Barnett was high on the team with 6 passes broken up. But a moment ago, he made perhaps the most important of the season when he broke up that last one. The end zone.
So now the biggest play of the game, the final play of the game. Pittsburgh breaks the huddle. Farmer's to the right. Rodney Clark's to the left. Medwid gets the snap. He's dropping back.